Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Film Club podcast, where every month we deep dive into different aspects of cinema, directors, genres, actors, or franchises. It doesn't matter, because it's always fun at the Film Club. I'm Dean.
I'm Becky.
And this month we're going through the filmography of one Stanley the Manly Kubrick, considered the greatest American director of all time, with a filmography as deep and vast as, I don't know, our back catalog. We talk about weird shit.
You also forgot to mention the love, the light of your life.
My darling.
Your darling.
You know,
yes.
The light of my life. Yes, yeah. A big fan of Kubrick, by the way. But this week...
He's got Kubrick tatted across his stomach.
No, that's Thug Life. Kubrick's on my back.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, so we have so far talked about Paths of Glory, his first true Kubrickian film. Then we talked about 2001: A Space Odyssey, his, opus. Now
Our longest episode. And now we're talking about probably his most pop culturally impactful film. The movie I fought for to be part of this month.
Correct, you did.
What? Was that an actual fight?
That was a
That
thing.
was a thing. It was either this or Barry Lyndon, and she wore me down.
Dean.
I.
What are we doing here? What are we talking about?
What are we talking about?
Yeah.
We're talking about The Shining today. And we have a new guest on the podcast today.
He introduced himself before he needed to be introduced. Why don't you introduce yourself, sir?
Hey guys, my name is Jack. Thank you guys for having me on the podcast today to talk about probably my favorite movie of all time.
Is that Torrance or Nicholson?
That is Neville.
Gotcha.
Jack
Close,
Neville.
right there.
At Jack Neville on Instagram.
But yeah, but this is legitimately your favorite film, right?
Yeah, I mean, I get this question a lot, like, hey, what are your top 3 favorite movies of all time?
Mm-hmm.
And it changes weekly, probably.
Yeah.
But I kind of go to these 3 films, for these reasons. The Shining, I just saw way too early in life.
I feel that's everyone's experience.
Yeah, and I'll get into that, but before I kind of just had an understanding of what a movie actually is, I found myself watching The Shining. And it did
Which
a lot
totally
to me.
didn't weird out. You're like, why are all movies this slow and creepy all the time?
But I'll never forget the way that it made me feel. And as a little kid, I was just like, I want to do that to people, on a TV screen.
Mm-hmm.
And then years later, I watched Goodfellas, and that got me to actually write movies.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw Almost Famous years later, and that's what got me to pick up a camera and actually make movies with my friends. So when people ask me what are your top 3 favorite movies of all time, I have to put that disclaimer of
these aren't the goated, but they're the ones that mean the most.
Yeah. Those are my 3 that I usually go to. The Shining being number 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very curious about The Shining as the number 1, and how young did you see it? Because
all right.
I'm going to interrupt you a million times in this podcast, by the way, because I'm an obnoxious asshole. But I think I saw the Simpsons parody of The Shining before the movie.
Yep. So did I. So the story starts a little sad, but it's okay because it made me who I am today. Growing up, we were a Simpsons house.
I see.
Same.
It was tragic after season 9. I see the moments.
It was just on all the time. Specifically, the Treehouse of Horror episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I saw all of those before I saw any horror movie. At least the first 10.
Mm-hmm.
From season 1 to season 10. And then my dad, he was a huge movie lover. He was a huge movie collector. He had his gold card at Blockbuster, and he used to just rip these VHSs all the time.
Oh man, you're taking me back.
Yeah, and he had just massive amounts of VHSs, 500 plus of just classics. Everything from 1968 to 1999. If John Carpenter directed it, or if it was a distant cousin or related to anything horror that he would have done, my dad owned it and he had it. But it was always just a don't go near these. Growing up, you can't watch anything in here. But then the more my mom collected movies for me, we mixed The Jungle Book in there and Lion King and Toy Story and things like that. So unfortunately, right before my 8th birthday, my dad passed away. And
I'm so sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Thanks, guys. And then there was, my mom was an overnight nurse. So I had an older brother, but he was in high school. He was kind of off doing his own thing. And when he was home, his friends were over, and it was kind of just one big party a lot. And my mom had to go to work. She was a nurse. She couldn't do anything. So these movies kind of raised me. And one of the first ones I remember picking was The Shining.
Mhm.
Now again, I didn't have like a cover. Like it was just my dad like bought a blank VHS and it just had The Shining on it. But I knew what this was because of the classic Simpsons Shining episode. So I knew what I was getting into. But the first time watching The Shining, like I picked it out and my mom saw it and she was just like, "Okay, you can probably do this one because you know what it is. You've seen that Simpsons episode."
You get the idea of the plot and what's kind of going to happen.
And she was just like, "Okay, like, dude, my dad, it wasn't even like 2 months after he passed away." And my mom was just like, "Okay, whatever, let's just watch The Shining." So we did it. And halfway through, my mom was kind of just like, "Oh shit, I don't remember it being this bad. Like, I don't remember it. Like, I remember like the way she looked at me when we first saw the twins. And she was just like, "Damn, like I fucked up." Like, but we were just way too deep into it. And you know, like as a little kid, like Homer Simpson just being like, "Give me the bat barge." Blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
You're waiting for the comic moment of the movie. And
Yeah,
it's just like,
it just messed me up, you know, because my mind was just like, "This is supposed to be funny." Like I've been laughing at this the whole time, but I understood that like this is what they're making fun of, you know, and I knew that there was a time and place where this was special. Not that it isn't special today, but the Simpsons episode kind of just like made me think twice about it. And then I was just like, oh, it just took me into this different world of like, this is what movies are and this is what they can do to you. So it was really hard growing up and then going like to revisit Toy Story and all of these things because I was just like, whoa, The Shining was one of my first movies.
I'm now imagining you at the playground. Everyone's like, "Dude, did you see like Toy Story cars?" And you're like, "Bro,
yeah,
I'm an adult now."
Dude, kids are. I wanted to talk about From Dusk Till Dawn. Kids are talking about SpongeBob SquarePants. You know?
I feel you and me had a very similar upbringing in that respect. Like, oh, also, I'm just now imagining it's like the black VHS tape. It's like in the box, like it's sinister, and it's just like, oh, I have to watch what's on here, and it's that must have been like a actual like horror movie experience of just the blank VHS tape and like what's in there, and it's the ring or something.
And it was really funny too because the way my dad did it, he made like he would double feature it, like these VHSs that he would make. So he would curate this. So like The Shining on this VHS tape played first, and then I'll never forget the second film that played after it was So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Yeah.
He must have been like, "Oh, I'm going to do like an axe murderer night and I'm going to do this as a double feature."
That's awesome.
And he had so many of those and I was just like, "Who does this?" Like this, but I loved it and I just dug it. And then I moved to LA and I got like familiar with the New Bev, and that's like exactly how they curate these things, like double features with a certain theme. And now as an adult, I'm just like, oh shit, like I get it. I get what my dad was trying to do. Like
Your
with this
dad was
stuff.
so ahead of the curve on
He
this
was.
one.
He really, really was. So, you know, it was The Shining first, and then what messed me up even more was the next day watching So I Married an Axe Murderer, because I was familiar with Mike Myers from Wayne's World,
Austin
and Saturday Night
Powers,
Live.
yeah.
Like
He
those,
was the big SNL breakout of the 90s, right?
those were the films that I was actually able to watch.
That dichotomy of like Jack Nicholson and then right on the same level, fucking Mike Myers.
Yep.
Yeah, two acting gods of that
Yeah.
VHS tape.
It helped, like growing, like it was just such a horror house, like growing up, because my dad loved horror movies and my mom had a huge appreciation for it, but she was more into Halloween makeup. So she was the one that was like making up all the kids like for Halloween and stuff like that and dressing everybody up. She was very creative. She still is to this day. But that's why it was just like accepted the way that it was when I was 8 years old, to be like, all right, The Shining, you can do this one. That's fine. Dawn of the Dead, maybe a year from now, but The Shining, we'll do this just because you're familiar with the Simpsons episode and you can do it.
I am one, I think that is so nice that your mother was like, I think you can handle it. My parents were like, fuck it, we got it, just watch it.
Yeah.
I had no filter as a kid.
Only Scarface.
Scarface and Clerks were the only two movies I was not allowed to watch as a child. I think I saw like Dusk Till Dawn, Predator, all that stuff under 8 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She did her best to, like, there was a line. I remember Pulp Fiction specifically, like he bought that one. Like he didn't record that one. So I just knew that there was just like a pretty lady on a bed smoking a cigarette, like on the cover, and I was just like, "What is this
That
movie?"
totally didn't warp anything about your upbringing at all.
But what was interesting was From Dusk Till Dawn was the first Quentin movie that I watched. But the way my mom was, she was just like, "Look, your dad was obsessed with this movie, and you will be too. And I'm gonna watch it with you. But here's the deal: we're gonna watch this whole movie, but I'm not gonna show you. We're gonna skip through like the Quentin motel room scene."
Oh, okay. Yeah,
You know?
that's the dark, really, really dark one. Yeah.
And that's and like shout out to her, because that's parenting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we can totally watch the vampires in the strip club rip everybody's heads off, but this one scene in the motel room, like this is real life. Like we're not gonna show you this. And I remember specifically with Pulp Fiction, it took a while for her to be like, "No, don't watch this because we live south of Boston. There's a lot of this going on, and I don't want you to be influenced by this." But you're not going to be influenced by The Shining or From Dusk. Hopefully not.
Yeah. Hopefully.
The signs right now say that you won't be.
You don't go to the mountains.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look
exactly.
over this motel for a while.
I'm thinking of like you won't be influenced by Dusk Till Dawn at all. Then Selma Hayek comes out in the thing and starts doing the dance, and it's like, okay, maybe influenced by other things. You'll be fine, kid. You'll be fine.
I like girls.
That's how I knew. Some of us was The Mummy, others were Dusk Till Dawn. We figured it out.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, that's the long drawn out the story of how I got familiar with The Shining and really how I got familiar with movies overall.
That is a very like fascinating, like true blue Hollywood story of finding movies like that, because I think The Shining is one of those movies that everyone hits way too young.
Yeah.
Becky, like when was the first time you saw The Shining?
Probably before the Simpsons episode, because I don't remember when that one came out, and I'm also older than you guys, so I've been around for a while. But I think it's
She was old when the world was young.
Exactly.
Yes.
I was here when the world was created. But
you saw The Shining in theaters.
Yes, I was there.
Oh,
I time traveled.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's like a total dad movie because my dad showed it to me. It was his favorite book and one of his favorite movies, and I saw it at a very young age. And I was just kind of like, some of this is messed up, but the rest is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I get it that Jack Torrance is the bad guy, but it's like, I'm totally digging him. I'm digging this, he's just stalking down the hallways with his axe and, the twins and Tony. So, yeah, I saw it at a very young age, but it never scared me.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you find yourself rooting for the Jack Nicholson character?
I don't know if I was rooting for anybody. I think I was just enjoying everything that was happening.
Because I'm questioning, like,
mm-hmm.
Does he have that Tony Soprano thing?
Oh, where you could be an objectively evil person, but you want to see them do their thing and, like, win?
Even though Wendy and Danny are right and center for us, and we should be rooting for them.
Yeah.
That's something I'm still trying to figure out, is who I'm rooting for in this movie.
That's interesting, because I think on the same theme here, I saw this movie when I was probably the same age as you, like 8, 9,
mm-hmm.
something like that. And I think it was like, oh, it's Halloween or something, and we're going to put on scary movies. And it's like, oh, we're going to watch, like, the original Halloween. Oh, yeah, cool, slasher, awesome. We're going to watch Scream. Oh, cool, funny, yeah. We're going to end the night with The Shining. And I'm like, oh, this it's fucking different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when it's, like, the middle of the night, half your friends are asleep, and you're just, like, sitting there alone in, like, somebody else's, like, house for a sleepover, and you're watching The Shining, and it's like, yeah, I don't need to use the bathroom that bad. It's down that dark hallway. I'll just ride out the night.
Just hold it.
Just hold it.
Yeah.
But even then, when I saw it like young, and even when I see it now, because The Shining, I've seen The Shining a good handful of times, but I space it out a lot, and I don't really know why. I think it's because it makes me feel just very uncomfortable. It's not a movie that I'm scared of. It's just like it's like The Exorcist or Nosferatu. I watch them and I'm like, yeah, it makes my skin crawl. I just feel really uncomfortable watching it. But I always kind of think that Wendy is the real hero of the story, right? Like, I think we see Jack or Nicholson or Torrance, we see him transform, but it's not even really transform, because he's always kind of this sinister, just on the edge, because this is probably around when Nicholson was on a lot of coke, so, it works out.
He's definitely on a lot of coke.
Definitely on a lot of coke. This is like 1980. He's just getting out of that Easy Rider period.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, he's always has that sinister edge, and it's like, he's just looking for a reason to snap. That's how I feel.
He's more unhinged.
He's more unhinged. And then Wendy is kind of this, like, domestic violence victim throughout the story, and as it's developing, it's like, oh, she's kind of, like, taking charge of the marriage and leaving for the betterment of her son and da 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 da. And then, ghosts show up. But we'll get into the ghost thing because I think there's like people aren't sure if the ghosts are actually like real in the movie or if they're just a figment of Jack's imagination going crazy up there.
But Wendy sees them too at the end.
Well, yeah, Wendy sees them too, but there's also a thing. This is an allegory for Stanley Kubrick faking the moon landing. There's a lot. We'll just have a section talking about the weird iceberg theories of this fucking movie.
You're gonna have to keep us moving here.
We're gonna have to keep us going. That's why she's here. She's like, okay, we got a time to keep up here.
Let's go.
But yeah, but before we get into The Shining proper, I kind of want to talk about the movies that came right before it. So the last movie we talked about on the podcast was 2001: A Space Odyssey. 7 out of 10. We'll watch it again. It's pretty okay.
It was pretty mid.
It's pretty mid. Mid-tier movie. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's whatever. But after that, this is when he gets into his very slow, I'm going to release a movie once every 5-year period. And then it just slows down even more once he finally gets to The Shining. But he releases A Clockwork Orange, probably his most controversial film.
I'd say.
It's okay. It's fine. It's whatever.
Not much to talk about
Not
there.
much. It's basically a kid's movie. Then he does Barry Lyndon in 75, 76, something like that.
Yeah.
Really pretty movie.
Candlelit.
It's okay. I don't think really anything to write home about. It's fine. It's cool.
You wanted to talk about it more than this today.
Yes, I
Oh,
did.
yeah.
You have any idea how fucking beautiful Barry Lyndon is?
You have
Jesus
no idea,
Christ.
Jack, how often he talks about Barry Lyndon. It's ridiculous.
Have you seen Barry Lyndon?
No, and because of you, I'm refusing to watch it.
Jack,
It's
have
all
you
the
seen
time.
Barry
He's
Lyndon?
like, we'll be sitting somewhere at a restaurant. He's like, Barry Lyndon's so beautiful with the candle lit, and I'm like, oh my god, Dean.
We're in a
I'm like,
candlelit restaurant when I do
we're
that. It's
not.
like,
We're at a
God, could you-
diner,
Could
like,
you
you know?
imagine filming this when the
Look, Barry Lyndon, I've seen it.
Mhm.
It's good. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's fine. It's good.
It's okay.
There's a lot of Stanley movies that we're going to talk about way before Barry Lyndon. But
Yeah.
that being said, I just I don't need to tell you. You know. You just gotta let Dean be Dean sometimes.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
just let Dean go off. It's
Yeah.
fine. But
There's no stopping the Dean train.
no. But it is. I just want to point that out because it's interesting. Because once he gets to The Shining, it's like a 9-year gap after The Shining before he makes another movie, which is kind of fascinating. Because I don't know if The Shining broke him. I don't know if The Shining was one of those movies where it's just like he needs so much more space before he can make anything after this. It's just interesting in terms of the history of Kubrick kind of thing.
I just think it's really cool that at this point of his career, he chose to do a horror film,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and the way that he did it. I mean, that's trying to think of. That's kind of like Paul Thomas Anderson right now, just being like, "Hey, I'm gonna make a horror movie next."
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I mean it is interesting when you say that because the movies he's done before that, it's like historical drama, Barry Lyndon, like a sci-fi. I guess you would call Clockwork Orange like a horror film,
Just a fuck with you film.
just a fuck off film. It's a
Yeah.
punk rock movie,
Yeah.
and then 2001: A Space Odyssey, sci-fi, and stuff, but he's doing a lot of dramas, things like that. This is his first honest to god horror film, straight horror film, and he's like, I kind of want to make a good one, and he accidentally makes the
Makes
best.
the best one.
Yeah.
The best one. But yeah, it is just interesting in that canon where he's because he only made 2001 because he's like, I kind of want to see what would a good sci-fi movie look like. Not a great one, just a good one, one that's okay. But yeah, we finally get to The Shining, which takes him 5-6 years to get figured out and made, and I think he just kind of stumbled upon the Stephen King book.
Mhm.
Have you guys read the book?
I did in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't read it.
It's been a long time. I couldn't talk a lot about it.
Mhm.
I just remember feeling like, okay, this is very internal.
Yeah.
This is hard to just kind of make a movie about this book. But the way that the movie kind of brings outside members
Yes.
into this, and it's just not just all it is in Jack's head, but it's not. We
Mhm.
get the struggle of all of the characters. Where I just remember reading the book and just kind of having that difference. The book was very, very internal, as most Stephen King books are.
Yeah, because I read The Shining, but this was 2 years ago. I brought my dog-eared copy.
Classic.
Thank you. I've had to find it in my closet, but I read it and I was I was expecting the movie, and it is not
No.
the movie at all. I mean, like, the plot's, like, generally the same. You know, oh, Jack, you know,
Yeah.
Jack shows up, family goes a little crazy, there's ghost spooky, whatever. But there's, like, huge things that are different from it. And it's also a thing where I think Kubrick and King have a very different idea of what horror is, right? Because you're a big Stephen King fan.
Yeah. I mean, I think I love this movie so much.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to say Stephen King's fucking wrong? Get over it. Kubrick won.
Here's the deal, guys.
We're about to start this
Stephen
one.
King is a genius. He's a great dude.
Mhm.
You know, we love him.
Yes.
But we know that The Shining is very personal. He was going through some very dark things.
I mean, it's his third novel, and it's basically about himself kind of going through being a shitty father.
He brought a lot of
and-
himself in this.
Yeah.
So when the book was written as it was, and then they cast Jack Nicholson to do this, and he's Jack, and he's great. This is one of the greatest performances of all time, but is a bit over the top when you compare it to the book.
Mhm.
I can see that being something that he'd be upset about, just because the book was so personal. But like, I don't know, guys. That being said, every time I hear a Stephen King movie coming out and they're just like, Stephen King loves this, he says it's
Yeah.
the best adaptation ever, I just know to kind of stay away from it, or just like keep it at an arm's length. You know,
You're just like, Stevie, like, my guy, my dude, like,
you're a genius. Stanley's a genius. Like, let everybody have their own interpretation on things, because you both did great things.
yeah. I mean, like, I would argue Stephen King's probably one of the best horror authors of the
Oh,
last
yeah.
200 years. You know, just like the last 200. You know,
I mean, he got the miniseries. Did you guys see the miniseries?
I did watch the miniseries.
Haven't
directly
watched it
from the
yet.
book.
Is
Oh,
it good?
No.
No.
It was a good swing. It
I'm
was
still
a
gonna
good
watch
attempt.
it just to see,
There's-
you know,
I
what
mean,
he was fighting
it was.
for.
There's stuff in it I like. I really see the Jack Torrance arc more like what he was intending, but it's not the same.
The problem is,
you know?
you're gonna compare this to the movie,
Yeah.
and it just, you can't.
Mm-mm.
You know, it just doesn't compare
No.
whatsoever. But I do appreciate the story behind it.
Mhm.
Stanley bought the rights to the book,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so in order for Stephen King and everybody to,
Make the miniseries.
they had to buy the rights
Yeah.
back from Stanley. And do you guys know what the deal was there?
Oh, wait a minute. That's right, because Stanley Kubrick was still alive when that miniseries came out.
Yeah. And Stanley just said, no, not doing it. And then after like 100 times, he was just like, all right, Stevie, here's the deal. I'll sell you the rights back to your book, but you can never say one bad fucking thing about the Shining movie
There
ever
you
again.
go.
You can say what you want about Jack Nicholson. You can say what you want about Shelley Duvall, but I don't want to hear a bad thing about this movie come out of your mouth ever again.
Oh,
Worth it? Worth it?
oh God,
Worth it?
Could you imagine you're Stephen King and you're just like, God, I want to make this so bad, but fuck you, Stanley. God damn it.
It's a gangsta move.
That is a fucking like offer you can't refuse kind of like
Yeah.
badass move right there.
Yeah,
I want
Michael
to see that
Corleone.
contract.
Yeah, for real. I'm sure it's at the Academy Museum or something, right?
I want to imagine it's like one of those we're in Stanley Kubrick's fucking manor in England. It's the moors outside. It's misty. We're getting the low light, and fucking Stephen King walks into the throne room.
Yep.
It's like, you'll say one more bad fucking thing about this movie, I will end you. I
Yep.
swear to God.
That's really good, Dean.
Yeah, that was a totally perfect Kubrick impression. I totally. But that is how this movie gets into being. And how it starts is interesting because we get the whole big driving up sequence
And the music.
and the music in this movie is fucking weird. It's like almost monk chanting and it's very ambient. Like it's not really a score, it's more of a atmosphere.
It's just a bunch of sounds.
Just a bunch of sounds. What is
It works.
what is music other than a bunch of
right.
sounds?
Exactly.
But we get with the first title card, the interview. You know, black, white's text. Oh, cool. And then Jack goes in to get his like interviewed by Ullman. This is also where we get Wendy's story of the accident, and we introduce Danny and Tony. So,
Yeah.
which one of these do we want to start with first? Because I kind of want to talk about Wendy's story of the accident, because that's really telling of the relationship Danny and Jack have. Like, is
Something that happens 100 times to
No,
a child.
an extra foot-pound? That's all it is.
You don't want to talk about the suspense of that cigarette burning down?
Oh, dude, I'm like, Ash, please.
I know, that's why I was watching it last night. I was like, wow, to see it larger than life.
How
Oh, we-
frustrated was Stanley when she just wouldn't ash it? She just wouldn't ash that cigarette.
No, the thing that drives me wild about that thing is how she lights her cigarette. She just has it out here and she kind of just like waves the flame in front of it. I'm like, that's a woman who's never smoked a cigarette in her life.
Well,
You're
it's
holding your
probably,
lip,
I
you
mean,
get over here, you're-
it's probably her 63rd cigarette in that take.
Yeah. She's like, I swear.
I
I'd smoke one more.
oh god. Okay, let's just talk about like the Shelley Duvall in the room, because the first introduction we see to Shelley Duvall, right? She's taking care of Tony, or taking care of Danny.
Danny.
Well, Danny and Tony. This,
Both, yeah.
the one and the same. And it's like, I get the vibe that Wendy is kind of this like stay at home kind of like. I heard somebody describe her as she looks like a used wash rag, and I'm like, that's such an accurate description. She looks like so sad in this movie for so much of it, and just trying to do her best. And Stanley Kubrick was like, I want 127 takes of everything, Shelley. Okay, was Stanley Kubrick just mean to Shelley Duvall for no reason? Was there a point to it? Because I think that's the argument a lot of people make.
I'm glad you brought this up. This is one of the things that is
Hotly debated about this movie.
Yeah, I mean,
It's the thing that keeps a lot of people from loving The Shining because of what Shelley Duvall went through.
Yeah.
But even Shelley Duvall's like, no, it was for a purpose. Like, I'm not mad at Stanley for it, but
yeah.
people see the background of it and they're like, Shelley, like, come on.
I mean, like everything, especially the making of this movie, is up for debate.
Mm.
But what we do have is evidence from that documentary. I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
saw it.
Yeah.
And she's just clearly just being abused on set
Mhm.
by Stanley. And
I would like to note he's not like hitting her. He's just like yelling and browbeating her.
absolutely, it's not
Yeah.
physical, but
He's just being an upfront dick to her for a lot of the behind the
It's
scenes
just
of it.
emotional abuse.
she
Mhm.
Yeah.
she is like passing out on
Mhm.
set. And
Hair falling out.
yeah, and Stanley is just like, come on, Shelley, nobody wants to hear you, like, let's just go and like get this take done. And that's not cool, but
Mm-mm.
if there's a reason behind it, like, all right, but I just still, like, we're all professionals.
Mhm.
Like, we're here to like get this job done. And I used to go to a lot of like horror conventions. Once my family knew that I was stealing all my dad's horror movies and watching them. My dad's baby brother, my uncle, just told my mom, like, hey, I like this stuff too. Like, I could take him to all these conventions and stuff. And my mom was like, whatever. So I got to meet a bunch of people. And in 2007, we went to one, and they were kind of honoring the new Rob Zombie Halloween.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I got to meet the whole cast. We got like an early
Wow.
screening of it.
Oh,
It
sick.
was
sick.
really, really cool. One of the Q&As I went to was hosted by Malcolm McDowell, Clockwork Orange.
Awesome.
So this was around the time that Heath Ledger had recently passed away too.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of like a topic of conversation of
Going too far into a role,
Yeah.
being self-destructive, and
so
yeah.
somebody asked Malcolm McDowell, like, hey, you take on like these really crazy roles. Do you find yourself ever like bringing these characters home with you? Dude, I'll never forget it. Like, he just kind of like sat back, thought about it, went back into the mic and said, no, I'm a professional fucking actor.
I love that because I think there's a lot of argument where people talk about like the method and acting and things like that. Because what is it? Jared Leto, when he did Suicide Squad, was like he was mailing his co-stars like dead rats and things like that. He'd get in the head of the Joker, and then I think it was Viola Davis or whoever was playing one of the actors or actresses got one of these, and then she asked her husband, "Can you talk to him?" And her husband was a former lineman for the LA Rams and said, if you send my wife anything like this again, I don't care if you're an actor, I'll throw you through a window. And suddenly he was very nice to her.
Yeah.
I think Robert Pattinson said the only reason people go method is so they can be a dick to people, because no one ever is a method actor when they have to be nice.
I hate it. I honestly, like, I don't agree with it. And it even like Shia LaBeouf on Fury,
Yeah.
just ripping out his own tooth and just like hurting people. Like, Brad Pitt grabbed him and said, hey kid, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, stop doing this shit. So that's just going, like, my point going back to, like, it's the same thing for directors too.
Mhm.
Like, hey, if you need to do something, this is just my personal thoughts. Like, if you need to do something that extreme to get the performance out of that person, then maybe you should hire somebody else. Or maybe you're not the right person for the job. Now, I feel terrible saying that because, you know, The Shining's one of the greatest things ever.
It's Stanley fucking
I think
Kubrick,
Shelley Duvall's incredible in this, and, like, yeah, she had to go through what she went through to do it, but, like, I question, did we need all of this?
No, it's like she didn't need that emotional abuse.
No. We could have handled this in table reads. We could have done this in blocking sessions. We could have done all of this in pre-production and just communicated the exact emotion that we needed. We didn't need to hurt anybody to do this.
It would have been different if she, you know, had spoken to him and said, hey, you know, can you kind of push me a little bit to kind of get me to feel like, you know, I'm on the edge, I'm about to break.
And maybe that conversation happened.
Could have,
It's very strange because I looked at some interviews or maybe like things that Shelley Duvall talked about the making The Shining or whatever, and I think at the time she was like, very intense shoot. Stanley was very, very intense, but you know, when we were off set, he was very nice to me or whatever. But when we were on set, he was incredibly, incredibly intense. That's the word she used, was intense. Later on, she was a little more like, it was a great experience because it showed me the limits I had as an actress, and it showed me truly what I could do if I was really pushed to my limits, and I would never trade that experience, but I would never do it again.
Yeah.
And it's a thing where I think I don't think she liked the experience, but I think she appreciated what she got out of it, but I don't even think that's really justifies it, because it was weird because, like, for The Shining, for one thing, is like, Scatman Carruthers, who plays Halloran, he complained, it's like, we had to do fucking 30 takes for, like, everything, and it drove me crazy. But he's not doing very intense things. It was, like, dialogue with, you know, Danny Lloyd. And Danny Lloyd is like, oh, no, I did, like, 2 or 3 takes of everything. Like, it was fine. They were, like, super protective of him.
Yeah.
And Nicholson has never really commented about, like, oh, we had to do 1,000,000 takes of, like, whatever. I've never heard him comment that. His comments are always like, Stanley's the man, dude. Like, you know,
he's a professional fucking actor.
He's a professional fucking
you know,
actor.
if I think Jack just like has that thing, like, oh yeah, you want to do 1 take? Cool, fine. You want to do 120 takes? Cool, fine. You know,
I love the intense in your eyes. Like, yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
There's 120
I don't
takes. What are you?
care.
What
I'm
are
here.
You? What are
I'm
you,
here.
fucking pussy?
Jack's
Let's
an
go.
actor. He's a professional.
Yeah, Dean, if you want to do 120 takes, I'm down. I'm not gonna be happy about it, but I'm down. You know,
I love that where it's I think it's Jack Nicholson when he's doing A Few Good Men, right? And they're like doing the thing where it's like, you can't handle the truth, like the big fucking Jack Nicholson moment. And it's like, oh, now we have to do everyone's single coverage, right? So this is just on Tom Cruise, this is just on Demi Moore, this is just on whatever. And he's like, don't worry, I'll read off, you know, off camera for him and feed him my lines. I'm like, awesome. And he goes 110% every single thing. He's not even on camera. He goes full belt, full performance for it. And they're like, Jack, like, we're not on you. You can just say the line. He's like, nah, man, I love acting.
Yep, my
And
guy.
that's kind of awesome. But it's also like, I can imagine on 127 takes, he's like, you know, maybe acting isn't really the best thing for me. Maybe I could just go to Laker games.
I mean, he's doing that for his scene partners too. You know,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
he wants to give them the same emotion that they're receiving on the other side of the camera. That's really cool of him stepping in there when the camera's not on him to do that.
Especially by A Few Good Men territory where he's Jack Nicholson. He doesn't need to do that.
No, not at all.
This is post-Batman. He's already reached the mountaintop.
Yeah.
All right?
My guy.
But I mean, you know, just to, you know, speak to Jack, it was Angelica Houston that was the one that was saying, you know, he'd get home and he would just collapse after the filming of Shining every day. And it's just, that goes to his character. You know, he really puts it in 120%. And then just to the point where he was just near collapse and then, okay, we got to do it the next morning.
Totally. I mean,
He's a machine.
65 doors.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Oh, God. Well,
And it was like 3 days.
Yeah.
3 days to film that.
And he didn't complain.
j-
He didn't pass out. Didn't do
Jesus.
anything. Didn't have that conversation with Stanley before saying, I need you to push me.
you're over here being like, Shelley Duvall fucking pussy. Nicholson right here.
God.
Not really, no. Like, Shelley Duvall
No.
gives an amazing
Yes.
performance. And you're like, low-key, like, this is one of the great screen performances.
Mhm.
And she played Olive Oil. So, like, this like, up there with Olive Oil, like, as great casting
Dean brings
is
up
perfect.
olive oil all the time.
Cinema exists so Shelley Duvall could have played Olive Oil in Popeye. All right, watch that. No one has ever been more perfect for a role.
That's up there with Barry Lyndon and the candle lit. He brings up olive oil just randomly. He's like, she was perfectly cast for that part.
Tell
I'm
me
like,
I'm wrong. Tell
I'm
me
like,
I'm
we're
wrong.
just driving.
Imagine a movie with her that's oily with the candlelight.
Oh, there is.
Yeah.
That would be too beautiful.
That's
That'd
it.
be too beautiful for this
We
earth.
don't. We as humans don't deserve art that good.
Okay, but the interview. So
Yeah.
we get to see Jack get his interview, and the first introduction to Jack Torrance is, I get the vibe like really creepy, like sinister. I don't know if it's just like how Nicholson looks.
It's
like
the eyebrows.
it is it the eyebrows though, like razor sharp eyebrows. Like what's the vibe you get when the first meet Jack Torrance?
This is a man who's got a lot on his mind.
Mm.
Yeah.
There's some shit that is going on, and he needs to kind of do a bit of a transition on his life. And one of those things is to finish this book. But I'm putting these things together that, like, we don't actually know.
Mm.
I'm thinking that he is shoveling driveways,
Working
at a car wash, and, like, you know, he's a former school teacher.
Yeah,
So something happened there.
it's
He was throwing the kids around.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
that's what it-
dislocating shoulders and shit.
that's
Left
what
and
it
right.
is in the book. I
Yeah.
think that's interesting. Is there's a huge section of backstory of Jack like beat up one of his students because they keyed his car, or no, they slashed his tires because he gave him a bad grade or whatever, and then Jack flipped his shit and beat the shit out of him in the parking lot, and they fired him for it. Which
I kind of want that movie.
Yeah.
Like, can I have that?
you just see
Can we have
Jack
a
Nicholson
flashback?
just throwing bows on some fucking 17-year-old who
I
slashed
mean,
his
I
tire.
would have rather had that than the miniseries.
Right? I think that's in the miniseries, but that's the thing is there's all this long backstory that's really in depth about Jack Torrance's character or whatever. That's just mute, just not even broached in the film. But the one thing that is the story of Danny getting his shoulder dislocated, and that's when we find out he's a drinker and he's kind of an alcoholic and he's not drunk in 5 months, even though he dislocated his son's arm like 3 years ago. But whatever, timelines.
He's like, look, I put in the time. I put in the 5 months. You know, you got to give me some credit.
Right.
I think he just, you know, knows that this book that he's working on might be the last straw.
if he doesn't get this, then he's really
Then he's
done.
done. Then he's done. And the only way he can get this done is if he is just completely secluded, because he probably lives in a small apartment in Boulder, Colorado, or Denver, wherever they are.
Boulder. I think I don't know.
And he's probably distracted by the great Shelley Duvall asking him if she can make him some sandwiches and maybe read something when I get back. And he just knows that that's coming, so he's just, I gotta get this done, and I have to figure out my distractions.
Mm.
So hopefully I can do it here, is kind of the tone that I'm getting, because he has a lot of self-doubt. But I don't know. I could be completely wrong, too.
No, I think that's a valid read of it, because it goes into like why Jack wants to go to the Overlook. Because I'm not saying, I would do this, but like during the pandemic, when we're all in isolation for 2 years, I'm like, I would never want to go to fucking a secluded Colorado hotel for that long.
Well, do they have the Criterion channel there?
Look, okay, if they did, see,
We might be okay, dude.
We
We might not kill
we
anybody.
might be fine, We'll just have 24-hour Criterion on. It'll be fine.
Lloyd's going to come out and ask us for a drink, and we're going to be like, we're good.
We're fine, my guy.
We got the Paul Thomas Anderson collection up now.
Oh, dude,
We're watching The Master, all right? We got our own nightmares
I
going on over
watched
here.
The Master for the first time last year. That movie is goated with the sauce. That movie is so good.
Yep.
Okay, but
Keeping us on track, Becky.
keeping us
Yes.
on track. So yeah, then we meet
I'm
Tony.
just more in shock that Dean's gonna, pass up a drink. He'd be sitting there, Lloyd, bring me another Bloody Mary. Come on.
Lloyd's
Hair of
like-
the dog that
Yeah.
bit me.
Lloyd will come in and is like, do you want to kill anybody yet? Nah, I ain't enough Bloody Marys deep yet. Bring me another one.
Could you
I don't
add more bacon to this?
I'm like, I don't want to see this empty, my guy. Jesus, that would be great. Like, if I was Jack Torrance in this, I'd be like, could I get what would you like, sir? Like, could I get a Bloody Mary? And then Lloyd's like, oh, has to look around. It's like, do I have the fucking mix? Shit, the bourbon was easy. You just pour it in with some ice.
Dean wants a Moscow Mule.
Did you not see that big pantry downstairs? I'm sure you have a whole vat of olives, chop.
Jesus.
Yeah, shake it up.
Yeah.
Oh God. And then it's Tony. All right, we get to see Tony with a thing, right?
Which apparently was improv.
Was that improv?
Yeah, the kid just started doing it during like table reads, and Stanley was like, "Great, do that."
He's like, I love it.
Yep.
Okay,
Wish he was like that with everything else.
Yeah.
okay, that's something I want to talk about like Stanley Kubrick, right? Stanley Kubrick gets the reputation of like everything has to be exact to the centimeter. That's why we do a million takes till you get it perfect. I think that's false. I think Stanley Kubrick had no idea what he wanted, and he just got as many takes the actors could give him until he was like, well, that's all the options. That's everything. Because like you're as an actor, right, Jack? Because you're an actor. We've worked together before.
Couple times.
A handful of times. Like when you do like multiple takes, like, hey, let's do take 2, and if I don't give you notes, you still as an actor are like, oh, I'm gonna do something a little different, right? I'm just shift it up a little bit, just a variation to take. I guess it depends.
Every situation's different, but yeah, you try to. I mean, specifically with the projects we worked on, we didn't do an unbelievable crazy amounts of takes. So thank you for that. Shout out to you. But
Cool. I wanted to get there at home on time.
Yeah, the ones that we did do, like I mean, it's a very collaborative set. It's a very collaborative team and process. So you do try to build a little more. At least I do. And try to like add a little more. But like we talk about things and we have ideas before we do them. But you kind of know right away after the take, based on everybody's facial expression or director's notes or whatever it is,
if whether or not Dean says perfect or that was really perfect.
If that extra push, that little like option, that little build works, cool. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep building. Let's keep extending. And if it's not working, cool. Let's just step back and let's just do what we know works and try something else or whatever it may be.
Or you come to me and you're like, is Dean happy with
Is
my
Dean
performance?
good?
Is he just kind of, putting me on with, yeah, it's great. And I'm like, no, that's his reaction to everything. I'm like,
How am I doing?
I'm like, secretly he loves it. He's just, he's trying not to let it show.
I'm a golden retriever over here. I just want to please.
And I had to take my golden retriever outside. I'm like, look, he needs some guidance. He needs you to tell him, that's great. And then I went in there and he's like, that was awesome. I'm like, oh, good. He listened.
Yep.
Yes. I have 2 modes of, that was really good. And that was really great.
Yes.
I have my 2 modes.
No,
and both of them are almost the same.
We knew
Yeah.
after every take if that one worked or not.
But I think that's a thing that, Kubrick in this, I think that's why he did so many takes and why, like, Danny Lloyd's like, I'm doing this. He's like, okay, I like that. We'll do that. It's almost like he didn't know what he wanted until he saw it.
And I could speak to that as a photographer.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of times where I don't direct, my people in photo shoots that I'm doing because I'm not really sure what I'm looking for. And it's like, I can see that with Kubrick because he was originally a photographer before he was a director. So it's like, yeah, I can see where that would be incredibly tedious, where it's just over and over and over. But it's just, you're not really sure what you're looking for and where you want the camera.
Yeah, you gotta find it.
Yeah.
Takes time.
Which, I mean, like, he did this throughout the movie. I think that's why he did the Steadicam, where it's like, we can just drift along and float along, because the photography in this movie is wild and also very uncomfortable. There's so many parts where I'm like, why isn't there a cut here? This feels weird.
Kind of doesn't get better anything better than this,
Oh, yeah.
With just the Steadicam, the way it was shot, mixed with just the overall, the overall look of the hotel. It fits, man. It's mac and cheese.
Peanut butter and chocolate.
That's it.
But now we go on to the next title card, closing day. They finally arrive. The whole family finally arrives at the Overlook Hotel. We get like the grand tour. We get, Halloran finally explains The Shining to Danny.
Yeah.
And it's like, ooh, supernatural magic that only really comes up at the end in context of the film. Because in the book, it's like, oh, Danny's a powerful psychic, and because of that, he's turning the Overlook like on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the thing in the book, but in the movie, it's not really broached upon. The movie really feels like it's Jack's story of him going insane, and the ghosts kind of like just pushing him just a little bit farther over the edge, right? But we get to finally meet Scatman Carruthers, and he is just adorable. I love Scatman in this movie.
It's my dude.
That's
Love
your dude right
Scatman.
here. That's your Scat.
Love Scatman.
Same.
Same.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Yeah.
We're gonna get ice cream. But the other,
How'd you like some ice cream, Dean?
I really.
What's up, Doc?
What's up, Doc? But yeah, the other major thing in this one is this is the first time we see the twins.
Yeah.
And all in like this big wide. They're kind of far away. You can't even really see their faces, and it's just fucking creepy.
Yeah.
Because I don't know who those twins are. I don't know if they acted in anything else after this, but they're in what 2 sections of this movie? Like they're in 2 shots,
Yeah,
basically.
I mean, they're so important to
Yeah.
film
Mhm.
culture, you know. But I know they are. Like, I don't think they've done anything,
Mhm.
but I know they're still around.
They are.
Like,
Yeah.
I know they go to conventions and stuff. Like, they were only like 10 when they made this movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
So like
yeah.
they got to be like in their late 50s now or mid 50s or something, right?
Some-
80?
1980?
Yeah.
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 So I mean, good on, good for them. Imagine just like getting just like one quick thing when you're 10 years old, you don't even know what it is, and then for the rest of your life you're just set. You can just go to the conventions and people are just gonna love you and you'll make money that way.
Well, that
And
was
people dress up like you.
There was a lot of twins dressed up last night.
Oh, yeah.
We got to talk about last night
Yeah,
too.
we do.
Oh yeah. Well, okay, but before
Yeah.
that, like Danny Lloyd, that's his story for this. He only made this movie. He had like one TV movie before this, made this, and everyone told him it was like a family drama,
Wild.
and that was it. And he was like, "All right, I'm done acting. I'm retired. I'm a school teacher now."
He's like, I did this thing this one summer. It was kind of cool.
Yeah. I that's insane to me that he just didn't have a career after this.
I don't think he wanted one, or his parents didn't want it. It was probably a thing where it's like he worked.
You're never doing anything like that ever again.
Yes, yeah, because the production of this took.
I can't
for
believe your
fucking
father
ever.
let me talk you into this.
Yeah.
Oh, God, because the production of this movie took fucking forever. It
As
took
did all Stanley movies, right?
Oh God, yes. Like all of them were like, oh yeah, we have it budgeted for like 4 months of principal photography. A year later,
Mhm.
so Stanley, how many days behind are you? He's like, get it done next Thursday.
I remember
next
an
Thursday.
interview with the guy who played Joker in Full Metal Jacket. Was
Mhm.
just like, dude, like I went through like 3 divorces and had 2 children in the time of making this movie.
Full Metal Jacket's production is insane.
Yeah, not to go off track, but
Oh God, but yeah, because but the thing you were talking about last night with the twins, because we saw this in a very special screening.
We did, and this was all thanks to Jack because we didn't have any idea that this was happening. Do you want to tell them where we were last night?
yeah, we went to a special screening of The Shining. It was sold out. It was very packed,
Yeah.
but everybody was on their best behavior for the most part at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
Yeah, we broke into a graveyard,
Yeah.
projected the movie. It was cool, you know.
It was a vibe, you know. A lot of famous people buried there, and you know, just watching The Shining with Judy Garland and Toto and
Totally not creepy at
yeah,
all.
and Johnny Ramone. It's something that I didn't think I'd be able to ever say that I did, but we did it.
Oh
We
yeah.
did.
I you guys asked me to be on this podcast. Dean texted me and I immediately said yes. And I was on my way to get an oil change at Nissan in Glendale, and I had to wait like 3 hours.
Mm.
And while I was there, I was
3
just
hours
like,
for an oil change?
yeah,
My
Oh,
God.
yeah.
ridiculous. I had some other things that needed to be done too, but we're all square.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Cool.
The Rogue is 100%. So while I was in there, I was just like, all right, messing around, going through my monthly stuff of like, what's playing at the New Bev, what's playing at the Vista, what's what events are going on that I want to go to. And I saw, I think it was like an Instagram posting on Hollywood Forever Cemetery page that they're showing The Shining,
Mhm.
and it was ironically on the day that you originally asked me to record the podcast, and I was just like, Dean,
Can we
Dean,
can we do this instead?
I don't want you to know. I don't want to know things that you don't know. I don't know. I just saw this. I feel like I should send it to you. And you were just like, wait, Becky said that we should change the recording date. We should do this. I'm like, cool. Because me and Kelsey already got our tickets. If you guys want to go with us, this would be awesome.
Super down.
And then we were able to, to set up this recording for the next day while it's fresh in our minds.
Yeah, as soon as he told me about that message he got from you, the tickets were bought.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, I'm like, he owed me a trip because, we made a wager last year. Alex was our witness that,
Mhm.
that he was going to take me to Hollywood forever, and he's just kind of been dragging his feet on it. And I'm like, I'm cashing in.
What a
don't
time.
I know.
You know,
What a time to go.
But it was a really good showing. The best part though was when people were trying to find their seats after the movie started, and we had talking about the twins. We had these 2 women
Yeah.
dressed as the twins, just like wandering around, and they came up like right next to us looking for their seats. And I don't think I don't think they were aware we were there because they were like standing like next to us. You
I
know?
wish I took a picture. It was a good moment. It was really funny. Kelsey kind of looked at me and was just like, and then just went back. Like we had a whole conversation with our eyes, and then just continued to watch the movie.
Yeah, but it was like
I was
creepy
like-
stuff like that.
I was like, please don't let there be a breeze. So I'm like right under that dress.
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
I don't need.
Yeah, you were in the spot. Yeah,
You were in the money's position. Yeah.
I was like, please God,
Anything
don't let
could
it get
happen.
breezy.
Yeah. Judy Garland's gonna create that breeze.
Jesus Christ. Oh.
I'm not sure where Marilyn's buried, but I'm like, please, Marilyn, we don't need one of your 7-year itch breezes. Like, no, like,
God.
please, no, I don't want to see what's under that dress.
Is she there?
I'm not sure if she's there or she's at oh God, what's the other really big cemetery?
Rose
Okay.
Hills.
No, not
I imagine she
Rose
would be
Hills.
at for
Right?
Hollywood Forever.
Because I know her and Hefner are buried either like next to each other.
Hefner's buried on top of her.
Kind of fucked up, but
Yes,
whatever.
Yes.
I'm like, dog, you met her once
I
in the
thought you were
60s.
joking.
No,
that's
it's
the
like
thing, huh?
it's like one of those wall units.
Oh,
So he made sure that he bought the spot that was right above her, so that he could be above.
On
Marilyn.
top of Marilyn Monroe
Yeah.
for eternity, which is like, you're kind of fucked up, my guy.
Yeah.
yeah. I wonder if Hugh Hefner directed a movie, it'd make people do 170 takes.
I think Hefner shows up in Eyes Wide Shut.
yeah, he might. He might. You're not gonna recognize him because he's got a mask on, but.
Oh God.
No, but last night was a lot of fun. Thank you for inviting us and
Yeah.
for telling us
Yeah.
about that event.
No, it was a great little double date. It was great.
It was a good showing too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we see the twins, but then we get the next title card 1 month later, and now we get to see the hotel like actually empty. And have you guys ever been in a place like that where it's like a liminal space or whatever, a place that's supposed to have a bunch of people in it but it's empty? Like you show up to high school early and there's just no one there, or some stuff like that. It's just fucking unsettling. Like this hotel to me is just fucking unsettling.
Totally.
Ah.
I love the way that this film truly makes the hotel a character.
Mhm.
Like it really is. I look at this as much of a character as I would Jack, Wendy, and Danny.
Which is fascinating because it's all a set. Everything inside is all a set.
Yeah.
Everything inside, outside is Oregon.
I think
Right.
something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I've never been. I always wanted to go to that hotel.
Oh,
Are
Because
you
they
gonna
have-
ask to stay in room 237?
No.
Oh
No,
no,
I'm not.
no, fuck
I'm
no.
not like if I get that, great. But I'm psycho enough to like go to the hotel. I'm just not psycho enough to be like, oh, can I have room 237? Like, no, it's cool. I'll be here. I'm not gonna make this weird. I'm just gonna appreciate myself.
They're gonna look like, hi, this is reservations for Jack. And like, oh, this motherfucker.
Here
oh
we
yeah,
go.
yeah, you're here for the Shining thing. Yeah,
Another
fuck
one.
off.
Yeah, another one. Okay.
one of my friends, Jolene.
Mhm.
You know Jolene, her sister Jenny.
I met her once or twice.
Once or twice. Her sister Jenny. She works
Future guest of
for,
the podcast.
Yes, future guest. She works for Midsummer Scream. She does like a lot of behind the scenes stuff now. They're actually gonna go stay at the Overlook in a few months from now.
Oh, that's fucking.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, Jolene texted me. She's like, "Guess where me and my sister are going?" And I'm like, "I have no idea." She's like, "We're going to the Overlook." I was like, "Oh shit!"
So they're
Like,
going in the winter?
I hope so.
They're gonna get snowed in.
I heard there's great skiing up there.
Oh. Well, I think this would be great during the skiing season. It's like, yeah, but it's hard to get up here.
Yeah,
People get
yeah.
snowed in.
Yeah.
We
It's
lose
It's not
contact.
feasible. It's not feasible.
It's not feasible.
The ghosts are really active in the winter. I'm sorry. What? What?
What?
I
Here's
mean,
the keys.
it's like it's valid, We did get that opening shot of that car just driving on that cliff, and it's just like, yeah, this has got to be $1 million
Yeah.
to keep this road clear during the winter. No
Oh
way.
God, yes.
Yeah.
Like I've done like road trips and stuff
Yeah.
where it's like, oh, here's like the 2-lane highway, and then this side or on your right is a cliff side, or on your right is just a wall of mountain, and on the left is just a sheer drop for like 300 feet
Yep.
into nothing.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't like this. This ain't nice, my guy.
Yep. My brother lives in Colorado. I've driven many times from the east and the west, and yeah,
Yeah.
those roads are tough.
It-
That incline, that Mile High City, it's rough. Your ears
That
pop.
shit's real.
Oh yeah.
Do you play the score to The Shining?
Again, like I'm psycho enough to like drive to Colorado. I'm not psycho enough to I'm very thankful that I have a fiance who puts up with me like as is, so I try not to push it.
You're just like, I know there's a line, and that
Yeah.
line I cannot cross. 'cause-
Yeah, cool. Like, all right, The Shining, your favorite movie of all time. Of course, I'll go see it with you. You want to go see it in a cemetery? All right, that's strike 2. I'll still go. Let's just not let there be a strike 3.
You're just like, she says that, and then you're like, all right, cool, and you put away the costume.
Yep.
you
Yeah.
know?
So it's like, yeah, I'll go to Oregon with you. Yeah, we can stay in the Shining Hotel with you, but you're not listening to the fucking music while we're there or driving up there.
You're like, can we at least watch it in the room? It's like, you can watch it in the room.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to the continental breakfast.
Yeah, go ahead.
You gotta leave the axe at home. I'm sorry.
That's it. It's a rubber axe.
But yeah, like it's just that thing where it's like, yeah, because what is it? When I was in like high school, I would show up to school like super fucking early. I had like a zero period, but my dad would drive me to school. But he left for work at like 5 a.m. Zero period didn't start till like 6. So I would show up like a half hour before anybody else showed up. So I would like walk into my high school and it's just empty, dead, like super early. And it's like, you know, wandering around trying to find something to kill time. And it's just, I get such like vibes of that from this movie. And it's like, yeah, no, this, I know that uncomfortable feeling of, it's like, I know there's no one here, but I swear to God, if I hear one thing, if I hear fucking one thing drop or move or rustle, it's like, well, that's it. Yep, that's it.
He's a little skittish.
Little, like, boom, I'm over, it's done. Like, because that's this terrifying thing of when you're, like, if you're in the Overlook, it's not like, oh, you're alone. It's like, if you hear something, like in the middle of the night, you're asleep and you hear something like fall over and you're like, there's no one for miles. Who the fuck is here? Oh, God, no.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. But we get 1 month later, Jack has his little deja vu thing, and we see his writer's block. This is where we get introduced into the maze, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which, an addition for the movie, that's not in the book, which is weird, because that's like one of the most iconic things of the film is the maze. But what happens after 1 month? We get Tuesday. The next title card. And this is where we find, like, Danny finds room 237, it's locked, but also this is where Jack is writing and Wendy interrupts him, and we get the great Nicholson monologue of, when you hear me fucking typing, don't come in here because I'm working.
It's the whole theme of the movie.
It's the whole theme. That's the theme. That's the theme.
I think I looked at you last night after that scene, and I was just like, doesn't get much better than that, does it, Dean?
you look over and you're just like, this is the most real moment I've ever seen in cinema.
Like, you think you can handle that? Good. Why don't you start by now and getting the fuck out of here? I just looked at Dean, I was just like, dude, this is the best fucking thing in the world.
God. I mean, like, because, what is it? Because Jack is trying to be the, like the author, writer, or whatever, and I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know if he just doesn't have the juice for it. Like, I wonder if that's kind of thing that's driving him crazy, because, you know, later we find out, you know, all work, no play makes Jack a dull boy. I wonder if that's, like, when this point on, that's all he's typing, is all work, no play makes Jack a dull boy, just because he has nothing to write about, and he's slowly growing crazy because he kind of is starting to realize, he's like, I have fucking nothing in the tank. I got nothing.
Is Jack a shitty writer?
Is Jack a shitty writer? I mean, there's some cool patterns in the text, so...
I did like his format choices on some of those pages.
Strong choices.
I feel bad for Stanley's assistant that had to type that for months.
Yeah.
Just
who
to make
did
sure
that?
It was like one of the PAs or his like secretary or something, just write all work, no play makes Jack a dull boy.
And then she just got creative with it. She was like, I'm gonna do it this way and that way and this cool like pyramid. I was like,
All right,
that works.
All right, Stanley, call sheets are all set. Catering's ordered. All the actors are prepared. Do you need anything else? Oh yeah, can you bring in 67 doors? And by the way, I need you to write 120 pages of just all work, no play, make Jack a dull boy. You got that? All right, cool.
You want to know the best part? It was probably more than 120 pages.
Yeah,
he was like, well, we need 120 pages for the box, but we're gonna need extras to reset it.
Shelley, go through every page. We worked hard on this.
Could you imagine that Shelley Duvall's like revenge is just like, you're gonna make me do this, I'm gonna fuck up every one of your goddamn pages. He's like, that was probably reminds, like, if I fuck up all the pages, then we're gonna be done. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, bring another box, and his assistant comes out all disheveled, hasn't showered in a day. It's like, yes, Stanley,
just covered in ink.
Here's another 120 pages.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
It's a thing where it's fucking insane, but it's like it's fucking wild. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I've never thought of the idea of him being a shitty writer, and I don't know why till now. But I mean, he might just be absolutely, coming to terms with that, and he's just like, you know what, fuck it, all work and no play, make Jack a dull boy.
This way I look productive.
Yeah. I'm
'cause
writing something.
Yeah.
How do you like it?
See, because I've heard that before, where people are like, just write something. Just it's almost like that free association or free writing thing, where it's just like it doesn't matter what you write. You can write whatever you want on the keyboard or whatever. But eventually, like the muscles will start going, and your brain will kick in, and you're just like, okay, now I'm not gonna stop writing nonsense. I'm gonna write something real because like the muscles are warmed up, the brain's doing it, whatever. But yeah, I really don't know if Jack is supposed to be a good writer, because it's the first thing we see him when they're alone is he's thrown the ball and he's like writer's block, nothing's written, and he's hasn't anything to come up with, and it's like I really think Jack is one of these guys who, oh, I got fired from this job, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Well, I was an English teacher, I'm gonna write a book, and slowly realizes that he is not that guy. He is not a writer, and I wonder if that's tipping him over to being like, well, if I'm not a writer, I could be a serial killer.
Yeah, I could just drink and kill my family.
I could just drink and kill my family. Logical choices, right, guys? Like,
Hey,
logical.
There's we're limited options here.
But yeah.
It could have been a chef.
Could have been a chef.
Could have been anything.
When he was listing off, how much was in the freezer and the pantry, I'm like, damn. There's so much you could do with this.
There's so much.
Honestly, again, if we had 5 months stuck at the Overlook Hotel and we have Criterion Channel,
Yeah.
I think I would learn to cook. Like, I would learn to make some nice fucking lamb chops or something
dude.
like there.
I know Dean looked at me last night and goes, they have lamb. And I was just like,
I fucking love lamb. Oh, I could fuck up some lamb
I'm like, we
chops
don't
right
have
now.
lamb right now, but yes, in the movie.
Dan
they have
doesn't
lamb.
like lamb. He only likes French fries and ketchup.
Yeah.
I'm like,
and chocolate ice cream.
Yeah.
that feeling when I was like 9 watching this first time, like, that's my fucking guy right
Yeah,
there. That's my dude.
Yeah, I feel seen.
I like when they pan over in the pantry and they show the ketchup and it's like the size of a trash can. I was
Yeah.
like,
Oh.
like Danny set for life.
Yeah,
That-
dude, Danny's good.
That feeling when you see the Overlook and you're like, you shopped at Costco.
Yeah.
I feel you. I see you.
Yeah. I mean, he's gonna be a weirdo growing up. Just no interactions with anybody except his parents.
It's like never
And
again.
and just a big trash barrel of ketchup.
That is a weird thing when you think about it. It's like, because, okay, if you were given the option of like, you're going to spend 5 months or whatever with your wife and kids, or husband and kid in your situation, Becky. So yeah, me. Would you take
We're not going.
this?
We're not going.
You would be like, I'd be like, boo, they're going to pay us so much goddamn money, free food, board. You'd be like, absolutely not.
Jack showed me the ramblings that you typed out for Ragdoll.
Oh, dude.
Yes.
I was gonna bring that up.
I was like,
Yes.
no, we're not doing that.
I was inspired by The Shining of like, oh, we're gonna have a typewriter. I
You
gotta type
were.
everything.
You
No,
were.
that was a legit thing. I
No.
wanted like real typed pages, but I had nothing to type around.
Originally, we were going to type the first 20 pages of your favorite book and Dante's favorite book.
Mhm.
And he tasked me, he's like, you're going to write, the first 20 pages of either book.
It's
and
like
I'm
Pet Cemetery
and
or
I'm like,
something.
I don't want to sit there typing 20 pages of a book. I'm like, I love my typewriter, but I'm like, that's a lot of work. And then he's like, fine. He's like, I got it. And I'm like, oh, he actually did it. And then that's when he came up to me like, have you read this? Have you seen this?
Can I
Yeah.
tell a quick Ragdoll story?
Please, because Dean's fucking a crazy person.
Well, there's a very brief scene where my character has a very similar moment to Shelley Duvall, where she goes up to these pages, and I'm not gonna say anything more, but it's very similar to that, where I have to kind of go through these pages, and Dean had these directions for me to read a few lines and go through some pages and do the rest of the scene. So I did a couple takes. I wasn't really looking, and then we worked some things out. And then by like the third take, I started reading things on page like 4, and just knew that this wasn't the book that I was told that it was, because it was just nothing but Dean rambles.
Yes.
Like, I am going crazy. My name is Dean. This is all a joke. Oh, speaking of joke, do you want to see a joke? Look in the mirror. Ha ha ha. Anyways, I should probably get back to it. Like, it's just like thoughts and things, and like I was just reading this like in character, and I'm supposed to be like bugged out eyed and like wide eyed and freaking out about what I'm looking at and seeing. And it was just like my Saturday Night Live moment, where I was just like trying to keep
Not
it
break.
together, and it was very hard. I did keep it together for that take, but
Yeah.
after Thomas yelled cut, I was just like, Dean, you son of a bitch. I was like, you did not warn me about the rambles on page 4.
Yes.
I am gonna skip ahead so I stay in character. This is hilarious.
Yeah, because I wanted, because in the Ragdoll thing, it was like, oh, there's a typewriter, type pages, or whatever, and I was like, I want to do it where it's really on the typewriter because Stanley Kubrick and I'm a fucking poser and pretentious. So I'm like, oh, I'll just do it. And in my head, I'm like, oh, it's not that hard. I'll write like 15, 20 pages. And I realized after copying over the Pet Cemetery and this, and I'm like, oh god, it's fuck it. And I just started rambling. I'm like, yeah, okay, Twilight Zone. I think this is a good Twilight Zone episode. This is why I think it's a good Twilight Zone episode.
There's a lot of Dean thoughts. I still have the pages at home.
Oh, good.
And they're not going anywhere.
I was wondering where they ended up.
Yeah, I have them.
I gifted them to him.
Yeah, that was my gift. That was my production gift after.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, fuck that typewriter.
Oh, I still have that. I love that typewriter. That's a nice typewriter, sir.
I was gonna lean over last time, like, are you scared?
Yeah,
Because you were just like, I'm not about this typewriter.
I remember shooting it, and you just like smacked the shit out of it.
I was
like,
so
"Fuck this
mad.
typewriter."
Everything making that movie was so easy, so collaborative, so fun, so great, except for that motherfucking typewriter. And it was like one of the first things we shot too. I was so ready, I was so prepared, I was so good to go, and then I just could not figure out this old typewriter. I was like, we're
And that
It had,
typewriter
like-
was the longest thing that took to find.
Yes.
Everything else, the doll, everything, the landing, the location, the typewriter was the longest thing to find.
I literally tried. I was like, oh, I want a specific one from like Barton Fink and this one, and I'm like, oh, I guess those ones are like $7,000. Okay, so I just went to antique shops. I'm like, okay,
and mine
this one
wasn't good enough.
I didn't want to hurt yours basically because Jack kind of cranked the fuck out of it. So I ain't
Mine's
gonna
from
lie.
like the 30s. It would have been okay. It survived all this time.
I mean, I
It's
hope
okay.
it looked good. Like
It looked good.
All right, good. I
All
can't
right.
wait because I remember at one point Dean was just like, "Hey, just like lean into this. Like, I know this typewriter's pissing you off, but just lean into it." And I did, and I hope it fits, and I hope it works. But I go along with every single thing. The doll, Thomas, Dean, Alex. Shout out to Angela and Dante. Like, everybody was just so incredible making that movie, except that fucking typewriter.
Ugh.
But moving on.
Moving on. So we get to Thursday. They are now snowed in, and we get the famous Jack Nicholson crazy stare. Yes, that one that Jack's doing right there. Yes. Which, another thing where every part of this movie is iconic.
It's me looking at the upcoming New England Patriots season.
Oh, God. You poor bastard. You have how many rings and you're still salty?
Well, that's the thing. It's like, you know, when Tom Brady left, you know, I had high, I don't know why I had high hopes. I was just like, yeah, like that was me in the interview. I was like, yeah, you know, my wife, she's a horror fanatic. Mac Jones, he's going to be good. Cam Newton, it's going to be fine. And then I just see the Cam Newton is playing and the way Mac Jones is looking, that's just me driving going, well, you should have eaten your breakfast. And then we signed Drake May, I'm just throwing the tennis ball against the wall, and now we're, you know, week 1 is a week away, and I'm just staring out the window, just knowing what my future holds. But it's okay because I have the Boston Celtics.
Oh, yeah.
You
Oh,
do,
yes, you
yeah.
have the Celtics.
Yeah. But it's okay. Let's keep on the shining.
Exactly, because the Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love's coming in. We made it deep into preseason or
You guys gonna be
postseason
good?
afterwards. It's gonna be good.
You guys got Brazil on Friday.
We do.
We do.
We got a date for that.
Do you have
We-
Peacock?
Oh,
We do.
We do, but we go to this pub up in Fullerton and they stream it and it's everything. And oh my god, they have some fucking bomb ass wings, my guy.
It's an
Dude,
Irish
it's
pub,
so
the,
good.
The food is.
Let's catch a
really-
game there
Hell
at
yeah.
some point
So
this
down.
season.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me know.
We'll watch the Patriots lose to the Packers.
Yeah, I mean, well, I have my draft tonight, so you know,
Ooh.
I'll have more teams to watch after I build my team. But
I-
I asked about Peacock because like we just got YouTube TV,
Mhm.
just got Sunday Ticket, just got everything that we need to watch football,
Yep.
and then the season schedule drops, and like I cannot wait for this Packers with the Eagles, right?
Yeah,
Brazil?
Packers, Eagles in Brazil,
And,
and
dude, and Peacock's the only thing I don't have, and I'm just like, son of a bitch.
This
I've spent so much money to watch football this year.
again, if we were strapped to the Overlook and we just had the sports channel, I think we'd be fine.
Dude, winter. I think, you know, YouTube TV, Criterion, like we're good. We're not gonna kill any families.
It's
HBO Max.
Yeah,
And the interface on Max is kind of shit now. I missed it when it was regular HBO Max. Now that
Before
it's
Discovery bought it.
before Discovery bought it.
Yeah.
Now that it's Max, it's like so hard to find shit on there now.
Yeah,
Uh.
I'm excited for the Penguin.
The Penguin looks good.
Yeah.
The
now
Shining.
we go to Saturday.
Yeah.
The new title card, Saturday. This is when the phone lines go down, and this is where we actually get like Danny's riding in his big
Mhm.
wheel, rolling in the coolest fucking thing the 1970s had to offer. That giant plastic big wheel. He turns the corner. The twins. This is the part from Twister that scared me the most as a child.
The tornado came down down the hallway.
You don't remember that? Okay, Twister.
I just rewatched this before Twister.
Growing up, Twister was my fucking jam.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It was probably because there were cows and cars
I was
getting
gonna say it's the
exploded.
flying cows.
Flying cows. But
Kelsey grew up with Twister. Love it. She still does. You have to talk to her about it.
I'm so down. We'll do
We have to do a double feature.
we'll do a Bill Paxton month. Oh, Bill Paxton has a fucking wild career, low key.
Can I be on Frailty?
Dude, you seen Frailty? Frailty's such a fucking good movie that no one sees.
Yeah. Frailty should be talked about.
Okay.
It's not perfect, but we could talk a long time about that.
It's way better than people think it is. But what is it? Because in Twister, right? It's like, oh, they're in a drive-in and they're watching The Shining, and it's just the fucking turns the corner and boom, it's the twins, and that's when the tornado comes in. 5-year-old Dean really remembers that moment. It's like really there.
So you saw that before The Shining?
Oh yeah, Twister.
So that was your Simpsons episode.
That was my Simpsons. Actually, yes.
Yeah,
Dude,
okay.
that was so weird as a kid. I didn't know what that movie was, and then later I was like, oh, Simpsons. But I don't think that really parodied in there. I was like, oh, they're parodying the thing from Twister. All right, cool. And then I see The Shining, and I'm like, oh my god, it all comes together.
Yep.
It's all here. But the iconic "Come play with us, Danny," forever and ever and ever, which everything about this movie is iconic. But is this the most like iconic moment of The Shining? Is this the big moment? Is it because it's like this? Here's Johnny. There's there.
Here's Johnny. I think is culturally like the most important. Like what people. I mean, people know Here's Johnny from The Shining more than they know it from the Johnny Carson show.
Yeah.
There was probably so many people in that audience who were like, but his name's Jack. Why is he saying Johnny?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's just one of those jokes that was just more funnier back then, but has just like gone on over time.
I mean, talking about funny, this movie's funny.
This movie's hilarious, dude.
Which is weird because it's also, again, unsettling as hell. But
Forecast says it's supposed to snow tonight. What do you want me to do about it?
I looked at Dean. I'm like, "That's you." I tell you something, and you're just like, "What do you want me to do?" And I'm like, "I'm talking."
My favorite moment that makes me laugh like a fucking banshee is when Wendy comes like, "Jack, there's somebody else in the hotel with us. Oh my god!" And he's like, "Are you fucking crazy?" Just the cold, dead stare of Jack Nicholson. The way he's like,
Are you out of your fucking mind?
yeah, oh my god, I fucking laugh like a banshee on that. I don't know why it's the delivery or because she's just so like, oh my god, oh, and he's like, bitch, the fuck?
It's as if they're in two totally different movies.
That's like the thing. Like everyone's in a different movie. Like Danny Lloyd's in like, oh, I'm in like a drama, like a parental like drama, right? I'm in Kramer versus Kramer. Fucking Jack Nicholson is in
Story.
The Marriage Story. Jack Nicholson's like, I'm in kind of like a black, horror comedy, right? Like I'm in something else. And Shelley Duvall's like, I'm in
hell.
I'm in hell. I'm the worst film of all time. Scatman Crothers is like, well,
I just want to go home.
I just want to go home, man. Like shit. Oh God. But Come Play with Us Forever and Ever. I feel like that's one of like the top 3 biggest moments of this movie.
Yeah. One, if not number 2, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
One of the coolest things we saw at the cemetery yesterday was, that big pool that was over by the lawn that we were sitting in? We were coming down that staircase to go meet you guys. And these 2 girls that were dressed as the twins, they went walking by us. And this guy's like, oh, this is going to make for the perfect picture. So we got out of their way. And at the bottom of the stairwell, the 2 of them are laying on the ground like when they get demolished by the axe. And I was like, that's fucking awesome. I hope we find that on Instagram somewhere because it was just a great shot and they were able to pose it and look just like the movie.
Yeah.
I was like, that is so cool.
We'll have to look for tags for Hollywood Forever and see. I mean, like, so many people have taken, like Jordan Peele is probably one of my favorite filmmakers today. I really think this guy's, like...
He's got it.
The next Alfred Hitchcock for us. And just brings in a lot of appreciation, just, what was it? Us?
Yeah.
Had the twins in there. And are set up, like, exactly how the Shining twins are. So it's really cool to see, like... even films today, like fucking Toy Story 4
has a Shining reference.
Has like the same carpets as like the Overlook Hotel, and
which is weird because Stanley Kubrick stole the carpets from Eraserhead. It's the same pattern as
Really?
an Eraserhead. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I remember
didn't
you told
know
me
that.
that.
This is one of the most wild things I've ever heard about making of a movie, and this is per the crew from The Shining was when Stanley Kubrick started making The Shining, he had the entire crew get into a room. You know, they went to a big theater or whatever, and it's like, we're going to watch this movie so you guys understand what we're trying to do and tone and da-da-da. And they all watched Eraserhead.
Oh my god.
And here's another level to that. Years later, in like 1980 whatever, I think this is after like David Lynch made like Dune, he's making Blue Velvet, and he was working with like the DP from whatever, like The Shining or Clockwork Orange or something, and was like, hey, David, do you want to know what Stanley Kubrick's favorite movie is? And he's like, well, yeah, I would love to know, because he's like, I'm David Lynch, I fucking love Stanley Kubrick, what's his favorite movie? And he was like, it's Eraserhead. And he's like, no, it can't be. My film is Stanley Kubrick's favorite movie. He's like, yes, he watched it like 100 times. He made everyone watch it for The Shining. He's like, and David Lynch said, "Is like, well, after that, I could have died happy." Like, could you imagine? Like, you're just like your little indie movie is like, the goat loves this movie.
Yeah, that's
That's
wild.
It's wild. It's wild.
Good for him.
Right? God, fucking David Lynch gets everything he wants.
Yeah.
You know, except Dune. But
It's so bad.
But yeah,
His Dune is so bad.
His Dune, his Dune.
Is this
half
the part?
Of it
is this the part where you stick up for David Lynch's Dune? Is this the part of the Shining podcast where
we stick up for David Lynch? Look, half of David Lynch's Dune is a pretty solid sci-fi movie. The last half makes most of it doesn't make any sense, but the last half really doesn't make any sense. I can get behind like the first half of it, kind of. The last half I
we
give
can
you.
see Dean's heart splitting in half because
It's
of
like,
how much he loves Stanley Kubrick and David Lynch. He's just
like,
I love them so much.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
But yeah, but honestly, like I see what you're talking about, because Jordan Peele even makes references to The Shining in Get Out. Because there's a lot of like 237 references and stuff like that. But again, the impact of this movie cannot be understated. But the next title card is Monday, the Worst Day, which has one fucking scene in it, which is when Danny and Jack are alone in the room, and he's like, "I'll never do anything to hurt you, Danny."
So unsettling.
Super uncomfortable.
Why is it so uncomfortable? Because it's like, oh, son walked into his dad's room and he's sleeping. He's like, "Come over here, buddy, let me talk to you." And I don't know if it's like the delivery. I don't know if it's just so cold.
It's a mix of everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's definitely just the sinister deliver of Jack, just like trying to keep him at arm's length from Dan. But like, I think a big thing that we got to credit here is the score.
Yeah.
The music, because they all just come together very, very well. And like,
as you said before, a collection of noises.
Yeah. I mean, and they grow and they become so intense. And really all we're seeing is just this man and this kid just talking to each other. And nothing else is happening. But like Jack's energy is sinister for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I question if this scene would be as powerful as it is without that increase in tone of music, because it really just heightens up, and then boom, and then we go into the next title card.
Yeah, and it's, the score for this is wild, because I think this score was nominated for like a Saturn Award and all that stuff, and it's a thing where I think it was like Andrei Tarkovsky said about this. It's like the reason you put music into your films isn't to like add filler. It's like it is to communicate emotions that your images can't.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this is doing. Because if you have you ever seen those cuts of The Shining where instead of making it like a horror movie, we're gonna cut a trailer so it's like a family comedy, and they cut this scene into it and they just change the music, and it's like he's like, "You know what, Dan? I never do anything to hurt you," but it has like the da 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 like behind it, and it's like,
was it like
different
was
vibe.
it Deadpool or Deadpool 2 when they did that for Valentine's Day?
Oh yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, it's a rom-com," and people are like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna take my girlfriend to go see it," and the girlfriend's like, "What the fuck? This wasn't the rom-com that you showed me with Ryan Reynolds. What is this?"
I mean, it has National Women's Day in it, so
It
it's
does,
a romantic
yeah.
movie, But yeah, like the score to this is just wild. And this is probably the biggest example of how the score communicates the emotion that the images aren't. Because like I don't even know how to describe it. Like you said, like collection noises. That's really kind of what it is. There's like chanting. There's like this weird single note drone.
Kinda
It's
like
a
2001.
Chorus at one point.
Yeah.
Towards the end, and there's I mean, it's just like a lot of collections of just uncomfortable noises. For so long I was just like, this is my favorite score of all time, And then
Good, the Bad, the Ugly came about, and
well, Ennio is a different. That's for a different podcast. Which please invite me on that one.
we'll just do only Ennio Morricone soundtracks.
Yes.
We'll not even
We'll
talk about the movies.
Yeah,
It's
we'll just
like-
give our
No,
thoughts
no.
for each one. We'll bring him down by sticks, and
Oh.
we'll just try to figure out what he meant by each one. But yeah, I saw on a plane with noise canceling headphones for the first time. I watched the Witch, the Vitch,
The Vivitch.
The Vitch.
Great movie. I fucking love that movie.
Incredible score.
Also, Robert Eggers. That's my.
That's your guy.
That's my guy right now.
Are you
I'm
excited
like,
for Nosferatu?
So fucking excited. Boo! Come on, it's Christmas Day. We can all go see it, together.
I'm
It'll be
trying to
fun.
do advanced. I'm trying to find those advanced tickets. I will let you know when I find them.
I'll be in
I'm-
Massachusetts for Christmas this year, so I'm gonna have to
Ooh.
find it in Boston somewhere.
Oh, so you get to go see it in which country? I see
Yep.
how it is.
Yep.
This
Yep.
motherfucker.
No, trust me, I'd rather watch it here on bigger, better screens.
You're like,
But
oh,
yeah,
there, it's still spooky. There's still witches going about.
Yeah, I think those are my two favorite scores, like for
Mhm.
horror movies. It's The Shining and The Vitch.
The Vivitch.
The Vivitch.
It's like because it's that ambient, tonal, atmospheric score.
They're very much just, a bunch of uncomfortable noises and sounds compiled to each other with just a single musical tone.
Mm.
Really doesn't go further than just like that one note, that tone the whole time. And both films in Act 3 really emphasize and bring it up louder with like a chorus. Like there's voices behind that. They're not saying anything other than musical hums. Yeah, exactly. But that works for me. That's my style. Like if ever I'm making a horror film, like those are the two that I'm gonna give to the composer.
I mean, like I think that's a thing that a lot of horror movies now don't tend to do, is have these very like slow, uncomfortable scores. 'Cause I'm thinking of movies now where they do like the music sting, where it's like da da da, where it's like something jumps out and has like big music sting. But I'm trying to think of any memorable scores or like uncomfortable scores now, because none are really coming to mind, at least for like mainstream horror films, right? I mean, like the Saw one is like maybe iconic. Like if I heard the Saw theme, I could like pick it out of a lineup. But that's not really the same thing. It's more like, oh yeah, this got a fucking beat to it. Yeah, let's jump this out in the club.
those
Let's
are
go.
fucking
Yeah.
bops, dude.
It's fucking bops,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely horror scores like The Exorcist and Halloween that you're
Mhm.
just like, that is a musical track
Yes.
for sure. And then there's, The Shining, The Vitch, and even like, I think Suspiria could even be a little bit in there too.
I fucking love Suspiria. That was a lost episode on this podcast.
It is.
Yes.
It's in the graveyard.
It is in the graveyard.
How
Yeah.
come? Would you go too long?
No, that one was
Was Thomas on that one?
No, that was just us. What it was we sat down, because I love Suspiria. It's a super cool movie. Really dig it. Becky had never
Yeah.
seen it before. We sat down, we watched it. We started talking about it, and then we realized this movie has no fucking plot. This is just vibes. This is just
Yeah.
awesome,
Yeah.
weird vibes and images, and it's like, man, this really gets kind of old. We're just describing like pictures in a podcast form. I would like to go back to it now that we have a more grounded idea of what we would talk about,
Mhm.
because that movie's fucking wild. I love that movie. But yeah, I think we made it like a half hour in, and we're like, so I don't think we have a lot to talk about here, right? Yeah. Okay.
Cool
Let's go
colors,
get
cool
food.
sound. All right,
Yeah.
cool.
Cool colors, cool sounds.
Yeah,
Our genitals,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
All right. Let's
My worst nightmare. All right, see you later.
Sweet. later on. But yeah, but the next title card we get Wednesday. This is when we finally get into room 237. We get Jack having his nightmares. He goes to the bar. We meet Lloyd, and this is where like the real plotty stuff
Mhm.
happens.
This is where it becomes
The Shining.
yeah, because it did have a certain family tone that
Mhm.
was just questionable. But to me, like the movie really just shifted into something else. Like, you grow up with family members who are males who are on their best behavior in front of the kids, in front of like the ladies in the family, and then when you get them alone, that's when they're ordering that drink and like the shift is talking and they're saying the F word
Mm-hmm.
and they're just showing who they really are. That was kind of the shift, like for me, like in this scene where Jack is talking to Lloyd and really just communicate. Like, you want to know why I've been looking the way I've been looking this whole movie?
The old ball and chain.
Yeah. This is why.
Yeah, I love the bar scene. I love how he goes and he's like, well, Lloyd, I don't know what it is about Jack Nicholson's performance, but this is him like full unhinged. This is him like, so we're going at 10% Stanley. He's like 11. All right, we're going to 11 then. Cuz he's just big and manic and wild. He does the eye thing. Yeah, big, manic, wild. But it's also like when we see Lloyd, I'm like, well, one, it's like, oh, that's the guy from Paths of Glory, but also it's like, oh, so now there's like real ghosts, and they're not just weird talking to Danny, who's like kind of psychic. Now they're like fucking with Jack, and that's another level of it. And also like, I don't know if just how they light him, but he like Lloyd just looks fucking creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, we finally have the bar
They
scene.
didn't candlelight him.
They didn't candlelight him. No, that's fluorescence if I've ever seen it. But yeah, we get the bar scene and the room 237 and Jack going in there, and that you leaned over to me when Becky leaned over me when we were watching the movie when Jack goes in to the hotel room 237 and he sees the beautiful lady come out, goes up to kiss her, and then she turns into a monster, and she leans over and is like, this right there, that's why you don't fucking cheat, Dean.
Yeah.
You're a kid who won't kiss some girl and she's gonna turn into a dead body.
Yeah.
I'm like,
And she's gonna laugh and laugh in your face, and you'll be like, "Oh, I got dead lady lips on my face." He just gave me a look, and I'm like, "Just saying,
Shit's real.
I'm trying to help you out
This
here.
is real life.
We're in a cemetery. This could happen. You go to one of those porta potties, a beautiful woman's like, I want to kiss you, Dean."
instant boner killer. That I love Jack Nicholson's face when she like gets out and he's like, oh, he's like scared, and he's like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, let's go. And I'm like,
alcohol will make you do crazy things.
oh.
White man's bourbon will make you do crazy things, Dean.
I got a question. Is Jack a one drink drunk? Because he had one glass of bourbon and he was like good to go.
I think his tolerance is not where it used
It had
to
been
be.
5 months.
Oh man, been 5 months and he's like, yeah, nice glass of
Yeah.
bourbon.
And
I think I'm gonna go fuck a dead body now.
Lloyd's got a heavy pour too. You know?
Yeah, he was not like, so we're gonna do 2 fingers. He's like, oh, and it's not horizontal, vertical 2 fingers. That's how
Yeah.
we're pouring it in here.
Yeah, back home we call that the Neville pour.
He's like, yeah. Oh god, but this is like the part where it gets like we get real ghosty and fancy shit, because this is also we get my favorite part of the movie where she's like, oh my god, there's somebody in the hotel. No, there's fucking not. And
You're out of your
she's
fucking
out of your
mind.
fucking mind. But this is also, Danny contacts, Dick Halloran, and we see the most wonderful apartment that Dick Halloran provides in.
Bachelor bedroom.
Just like he's like right over my TV, picture of a naked woman. Right over my headboard, another picture of a beautiful naked woman.
Do you guys remember how The Simpsons portrayed that?
No.
It was Groundskeeper Willie.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, it was Groundskeeper Willie.
Yeah, and he's got the red hair, so like all the pictures of the ladies, they were all just like redheads. And he just has his feet up, and he's like, "Oh, the boy,
Oh,
he's
the
Shinning."
The Shinning. Don't you mean The Shining? No, boy, you want to get sued?
Yeah. That's. I mean, like, like I called it The Shinning, like at first, because that's all I knew. But yeah, that bedroom, classic.
There's
Really ties the room together.
There's a house not too far from where Dean lives, and every time we pass it, it's the craziest thing. They keep their front door open, and they just have this huge portrait of this nude woman that's like right in the center of the front door.
Oh yeah, like because there's a stop sign right there on the corner. So you roll up, you stop, and you look over to the right, and there's the front door wide open, and then it's like, I don't know if it's a band poster or an art thing. It's just a woman going like full Debbie from Dallas or whatever, and I'm like, that's a big poster. All right, cool. And it's just wide open in like their front room.
Every time we drive by, the door is always open. Doesn't matter if it's cold outside, hot outside. That poster is on display. And that's why when we saw it last night, I thought of that house. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Maybe they watch The Shinning and they're like,
they have The Shining.
They're
in
like,
there.
I
Oh, yeah.
need that.
That's where Dick Halloran lives.
Yeah.
Oh god. But
He
yeah,
moved from Miami to Southern California.
just fuck it, you know. But yeah, he contacts Dick. Tony, we get the red rum or whatever. But the real wild one is when Jack returns to the bar after checking room 237, and we get to see the whole like ballroom filled up with people but no voices other than Jack's in the whole scene, which is like really unsettling. Like, the sound design of this movie is amazing.
Makes you think, are they actually there?
well, I know somebody who's there. Grady. He spilled his drinks on him.
He did.
And we get the famous scene of Jack and Grady, the former caretaker who killed the twins, in the bathroom.
The red bathroom.
The red bathroom, which I don't think I could pee in there.
It's quite red.
It's a little too red, like a smidgen too red.
There's no way that bathroom was just as it was. Stanley had notes.
Yeah.
Stanley wanted that a very specific way.
I want it uncomfortably red in here.
Yeah.
I want it to hurt your eyes.
Yeah.
He's
Looks like Five Guys in there.
He's like, that does look like a Five Guys bathroom.
I'm not gonna be able to walk into Five
Yeah.
Guys anymore.
Yeah. Five Guys is just like, listen, I know this sounds weird, but I want to set up every store like the bathroom in The Shining.
Walk in there, Grady.
Yeah.
Could you
Yeah.
imagine you walk in, you're going to Five Guys, you're getting your you're paying $25 for your fucking cheeseburger, right? And then you go and like, I gotta go take a piss. You open the bathroom and there's just a balding dude in a tuxedo in there, and you're like, yeah, no, fuck this, nah.
Great party. Is it great burgers, aren't they?
He's like, oh, lovely party, isn't it? It's like, oh god, no,
I'm going to In-N-Out right
Yeah.
this second.
we're done.
How'd you like some ice cream, Dean?
But oh god, Jesus. But this is where like they finally tell Jack, it's like, yo, like I think it's time for you to correct your family. I love the fucking how he says correct. It's so fucking good.
It's important.
It's important. It's strong. The roll of the R. That's the key. That's the key. But now Jack is like, well, now I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go figure this out. I'm gonna get that ball and chain cut off. I'm gonna cut off the little bastard. It's gonna be great. So he breaks the radio, and then it's 8 a.m. 8 a.m.
Next title card, 8 a.m.
8 a.m. Halloran's on his way to the Overlook. He's driving in sick Cadillac, sees Stephen King's Bug destroyed because Stanley's like, fuck you, Stevie.
Mhm.
And Stephen King for the next 20 years is like, fuck you, Stanley.
Until,
Until some contract
Yeah.
disputes. But this is where we get the next... Okay, I know we were talking about like most like iconic scenes. It's like, here's Johnny, or it's the twins. All work and no play. Makes Jack a dull boy. The scene, the 127 take scene. That's where this is. This has to be the most like parodied or like referenced scene.
Give me the bat, Marge.
Give me the bat. Give me the bat. All work and no. Oh, what is it?
No TV, no
No
beer,
beer,
make
make
Homer
Homer go crazy.
Something.
Go-
Go crazy.
Don't mind if I do. Oh my god, because this scene is so like elevated, uncomfortable, because you can tell Shelley, you can probably tell this is probably take like 89
Yeah.
for Shelley Duvall, because she is like, I think she says like some of the lines is like, I don't know, I'm just so confused.
Yeah.
Like just
Probably
I just
takes
wanna-
72.
72. And she's like, just tell me what you want me to do.
As soon as possible.
And Jack Nicholson is just like, yo, it's just like, darling, the love of my life. You know, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains in. Which
I'm gonna bash him right the fuck in.
right the fuck in. This scene is so like, this sells it to me that this is about like the domestic violence drama and her like being forced to defend herself against her husband and all that. But it is like, this scene is off the fucking rails. Like Jack Nicholson is like, all right, I did like 2 lines of blow before this take. Let's fucking go.
Yep.
He's like, Jack, this is take 86. Have you been doing blow before every take? He's like, yes. Yes.
He's like, how else do you expect me to take a bat to the head? He's like, I'm ready. I don't want to feel nothing.
Jack Nicholson would do it fucking method too. He's like,
I'll eat glass if it's in the script.
fucking professionalism. Oh God. But yeah, so fan of the scene, Becky. Fan of the scene.
Yeah, it was one of my dad's favorite scenes, so he used to tell that to my mom all the time. He's like, you get home, he'd be, my love, my light of my life, my darling. I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains. And my mom would be like, shut up.
The
Get
divorce.
a new line to say something.
I'm just imagining like he comes in, does that, and she's like, all right, so where are the divorce papers? All right, let's fuck this up.
Not just the bat, like, all right, let's do it.
God.
You think maybe he should be taken to a doctor.
Mate.
Because this, I always forget how long this scene is, because it's not like, oh, no work and no play, and then she like gets right to the stairs and is trying to get away. There's a long monologue of Jack going off the hinge. That's the thing, the pace of this movie, because it's not paced slowly. It's like an hour or 2 hours, 20 minutes, something like that. But it doesn't feel that long.
No.
But it's like these scenes, there's not a lot of cutting. It's like it's a lot of just the actors just doing a lot of blowing, going for it, right?
Yeah.
So it's like this scene just feels like so much longer than I remember it, and it's like, God, please, can I just get a cut? Please, God, let Shelley take a knee. Please, let her go home.
You think that was
Please.
like a note for Jack from Stanley? Like, hey, just fuck with her.
Just go fucking
Because
wild.
I mean, the whole scene is just him manipulating her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, she's like, hey, like, this is our kid. Like, he's fucked up. Like, he's not talking.
He's also
We should, like-
talking to himself.
Yeah, he's got bruises on his neck. We should take this kid to a doctor where his parents, like, this is where, oh, you think maybe he should be taken to a doctor.
I have responsibilities.
Yeah.
I signed a contract. You know the thing about moral and legally binding contracts?
Yeah, and even just like, you know, as soon as possible, as soon as possible. Like, I could totally just see that being a note. Like, dude, just fuck with her, you know?
Again, that's the thing about Kubrick that I really think is just false, of him being like, I want you to do this exact way, and we'll do it 100 times until you do this exact way.
Psychopath.
Yeah, like it's psychopath thing. I really think it's just like, no, we're just gonna do it a million times because I want you to like play around and do whatever you want. Like whatever comes to you in the moment is like, that's what I want to see, because that's interesting. And I think that's the thing why he hires guys like Peter Sellers and Jack Nicholson, guys who were by all accounts like really live wire performers who do a lot of improv, and it's like I go when the camera's rolling and I'll really turn it on and go wild for it. And I think that's why he liked those guys, is because it's like, you fuck it, we roll the camera and there's fucking magic there, but we have to roll it a lot of times because I want options.
Totally.
Yeah, Shelley Duvall I wonder if he saw the same thing in Shelley Duvall, or if he was really trying to like, we need her at a level of broken down that we're only going to get with the multiple takes. Because I think she even said, it's like, you know, when we were doing that, you know, it was hard, but I think the hardest part was I had to cry nonstop. So I just ran out of tears after a while. And I'm like, okay, I think that's where we would have stopped for the day, when you ran out of tears. You know, I don't think you need that, Stanley.
Totally.
But
like,
yeah.
why?
It's not necessary.
No.
I know it's not necessary.
It was a different time.
It's different times, you know. Back when movies were movies and TV was TV, and
The guy had just made A Clockwork Orange.
you know, it was, God, it wasn't even just made. That was
They
like
had to-
7 years before.
They had to know what they were getting into, you know?
God, that's the other thing I always
It's
hear.
like, do I actually want to sign on and do this project based on the last fucking thing that this guy did?
I almost think, because that's what happened with Full Metal Jacket, was everyone was like, look, I know it's gonna go over time.
Yeah.
I know it's gonna be a pain in the ass. I know I'm gonna do a million takes, but it's like,
This
I
might
get
be the best thing in the world for my career.
it might be the literal one. It might be the little best thing in my career, but also like I might low key be one of the best movies of the decade if I do a Kubrick film.
Yep.
Right. But she nails him with the bat. He goes, gets locked up. I love the look of Jack waking up. I've had that look myself many times. Like, what the fuck is going on? And he gets locked up. He's beaten up. Wendy realizes how locks work on the fridge,
Kelsey was dying.
Yeah.
because she's just like yanking on the thing. She's like, "Oh wait, let me get the
Let me unlock it first.
Dude, Kelsey's been laughing at that scene for like over 10 years.
Jesus."
It's yeah, you know, it's kind of like the Wayans brothers. They're like, before making Scary Movie, they watch scenes like that and they're just like, yeah, we should make a Scary Movie, you know?
We should make that scene 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
and that'll be funny.
I mean, it is pretty frustrating.
Oh yeah.
She is just kind of just jammering on that door, trying to open for a good, like, I don't know, what,
It's
10 seconds? Which
it's a
seems
little,
like long
it's a
time.
little
than that.
longer than that, because she's going and Jack's like, "Oh, I'm waking up." Like we
Yeah.
go back and forth between like 2 or 3 times. It's a minute.
And then there's just like a shot where she's just literally like, oh, okay, and takes the
would've-
fucking thing out.
I would have died if she. I know that there has to be a take out there. I know for a fact there's a take out there where she looks and she's like, "Oh, okay," and just
Yeah.
smacks herself in the forehead, like the over. It's like, okay, like Willem Dafoe in American Psycho, where he's just like, "Oh, Thursday." He's like, "That's right, Thursday. Yeah, Pat, that one.
Come on, Wendy, you're smarter than
You're
this.
smarter."
No,
than this."
You're gonna be able to drive the snow cap, right? Like
That's
you're not
true.
able to open this freezer door. I'm questioning if you're gonna be able to Put your foot on the pedal and get
That's
yourself
what I was
out of there.
imagining the ghosts were in there. The lock,
Yeah.
lady, unlock the door.
The ghosts are like, we want Jack to get you, but we're feeling kind of bad about this.
Yeah.
Like, guys, come on.
We want you to have one win. Come
Yeah,
on.
throwing you a fucking bone over here.
Jesus. But he gets locked up, and then after that it's 4 p.m. This is the final halt. This is where it turns into a real honest to God. Well, I guess it's been a horror movie since 8 a.m. But now it gets like honest to God horror movie stuff because somebody lets Jack out, and this is the one where I think people were arguing. It's like, well, we don't know if there are ghosts in it. They all could just be hallucinating or whatever. But that is Jack getting let out of the freezer is the one true. Only a ghost could have done that. Right? Only the ghost could have let him out. And when he gets out, that's when we have red rum.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And also, here's Johnny, which is the other, again, top 3 most iconic moments in this entire movie.
In all movies.
In all movies. Is this the number 1 most iconic? If you were like, what is a movie? And you're like, here's Johnny.
I mean, this is certainly up there with like Luke. I'm your father.
Yeah.
You
Say hello to my little friend.
Mhm.
Gonna need a bigger boat.
Yep. Hold on to your butts.
Jurassic Park. Hold on to your butts.
Yep.
All right.
That was the line of my childhood.
Not
Yeah.
welcome to Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Not no. Okay.
Every time I find myself like on an off-beaten road or something, I never go on that road without saying "Hold on to your butts."
Thank you.
Hey,
Oh.
you know what I mean? Barry Lyndon, butts.
Yeah,
That's it.
We're
Steve's
made
over
for
here
each
lighting
other.
the candles.
Yeah, you gotta let Becky be Becky.
Yeah. It's like you do you
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jack.
Oh,
Got you.
God.
Got you.
She's like, we need to fight Jack more often. He's defending me. He's nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
I play it for both teams.
Oh God. We'll get to that when we get to the teddy bear and the tuxedo man. But
Oh God. Yeah,
But
do
you-
we have enough time for that?
oh God, we're almost there. We're almost there. So we get the here's Johnny, which I love this scene because this is like Wendy full blown like I'm fucking done. Like I'm sending my boy out into the wood, into like the snow. My husband's breaking down the door
I
with an
couldn't fit
axe.
through the window.
I couldn't fit through a window even though I'm flatter than a board. Like what is this?
I'm olive oil.
Question for you guys. You're Shelly, right?
Yes.
You just sent your kid out that window.
Yes.
An axe is coming through that door. You're fucked.
Yes.
Like,
I'm
that
now
axe is
imagining it's
coming.
literal Jack Nicholson and not Jack Torrance. I'm a little more afraid of regular Jack Nicholson in this moment.
You have a knife in your hand.
Yes.
Are you just standing in that corner for as long as you are? Just going, oh God, oh. Now please, I don't want you to think that. I don't think this is one of the most important movie moments in history. But after watching this over 100 times, I'm kind of just like, life or death. I don't know if I'm standing there just holding up,
Just waiting.
up, just like up to my shoulders. By the
Yeah.
way, like this knife with my hand out like this.
I'm breaking out that window.
I'm doing something.
Yeah.
That's a thing where I'm like, why didn't she just bust out the? I guess it's like frozen. It's probably like weathered.
But you
I
can
mean,
get like the cover for the toilet tank. Break something.
Yeah, look, for her look, talking for the shot, like she just looks
Oh,
stunning.
kills it.
She
Yeah.
just looks amazing.
Mhm.
Like everything about her, facial expression, it's amazing. So just like directing this thing, like I might keep her there too. And that shot just probably lasted longer than I wanted it to, but like it just looks so good. How do you cut that,
Mm.
But then over 100 times watching it, you're putting yourself in her shoes. I'm like, dude, I'm doing something.
Yeah.
You're over there being like,
Yeah.
I might be squaring up behind it, being like, all
Mhm.
right, Jack, yeah,
Yeah,
come on
Shelly,
through. I dare you,
dude.
motherfucker.
Shelly is just not from New England. She is just like not from like we are fighting. We are going out there and we are doing whatever we have to do to.
So the only word you're getting out is here's because that knife is going right through that eye. As soon
I-
as
It
you
just
put
takes
it.
her so
Yeah.
long to like
I-
cut up his hand.
I love this because like you're just like, oh, New England, we're fucking fighting. I'm like, yeah, Southern California. If Wendy was a Latin woman, like as soon as he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? When I'm typing in here, she'd be like, oh no, puto, and she slaps the
Yeah.
shit out of him in the fucking.
Yeah, dude.
We wouldn't have even gotten this far.
Yeah.
She would have killed him like day 2 in the fucking hotel.
That's
I
what
would have at least just tried to squeeze myself out of. I mean, she had time.
Oh yeah.
That's why when he yells at her when she's typing or when he's typing, I'm like, Shelly, punch him in the throat. Punch him in the fucking throat. You're
Yeah,
like, be
it's
talking,
now or
shit
it's
back.
now or never.
Yeah. I'm like, you're gonna tell me what, and then you want me to bring you a sandwich?
Yeah.
Right to the throat.
Uh,
Yeah, you don't want me to ever come down here again? No problem, you fucking
Yeah.
asshole.
No problem,
See you
you
later.
shitbird.
Yeah.
You can cook your own goddamn
Yeah,
meals.
me and Danny are upstairs eating sandwiches if you want to join us, you prick.
He's coming back. He's like, baby, please, can you let me back into the hotel? The rest of this place is cold. He's like, you can sleep in the fucking lobby, asshole.
Exactly.
He's like, God.
You need
Damn
me,
it.
Wendy. You need me, okay? You can't even open a freezer door without me, all right?
She's like, I can open the pantry. I don't need the fucking freezer.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I'm supposed to think you're gonna protect my son? I'm whacking this 60th door with an axe, and you're just standing there.
We're running out of doors, Wendy, darling.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Again, Shelley Duvall's perfect in this
Oh,
movie.
she is. She is.
But-
Shout out to Shelley Duvall.
But yeah,
Yes.
that scene is one of those, like, you know, I think everyone does this when they watch a horror movie. It's like, what are you going to do in this situation? And it's like, yeah, in this situation, if my logic brain is on, I'm like, well, I can bust out that window, or I'm going full on Jean-Claude Van Damme on Jack as soon as he comes through the door. But it's like, honestly, in the moment, I might be like, okay, I'm just going to go into the corner, and as soon as something comes through, I'm just gonna catch him. Like,
Yeah.
that might be it. I don't know.
Maybe.
But it's just so, like, tense in that moment because, again, it's been a minute since I've seen it, but I always had the idea, it's like, oh, I know he gets through it. I'm like, does he pop her? Does he actually, like, catch her? Is she hurt through the rest of the movie? Because I remember she's, like, running around. She's like, oh my God, because she's scared as shit because her husband just attacked her with an axe. But it's like, I never remember how it really goes on, but when she finally cuts his hand and he freaks out, I love that because it's like, before this, Jack is like, oh, I can kill him. Like, there's no resistance. I'm the man. I can do this. And then she, like, cuts him and he's like, oh no. Oh, pain, my only weakness. Oh! He starts with the wails. Oh! But this is when Halloran finally arrives.
Poor Dick.
Poor Dick.
Yeah.
You know, and you know what happens? Dick meets Jack. And this is another one where it's so quiet. Like, this is one of those, like, the only, like, real jump scare in the movie, I think. Where it's just, you know, Dick's like, hello, anyone there? And he's just walking through the lobby on a single unbroken shot that goes on uncomfortably too long. And then, you know, I'm always like, is it the second to last pillar? Is it the last pillar?
Yeah,
Is it
I
around
always
the
forget
corner?
which pillar it is.
Yeah, right? Like, and he finally gets to the end, and he's like, hello? And then Jack comes out, I was like, whoa! Like, he's Conan the Barbarian and, like, buries the axe in his chest. And I'm like, oh no, Scatman.
Yeah.
No. Which
He was robbed.
he was robbed. It's also weird because in the book he doesn't die.
No.
In the book he turns into like Danny's surrogate father and all this other stuff. But
yeah,
it's
they escape.
they escape, and it's also weird. Like Scatman or like Halloran dies here. When I think about it in like grand context of like the plot of the movie, where he existed to tell them that what the Shining is, and then to distract Jack long enough for Wendy and Danny to get away. And that's his only two real plot relevant moments, but which is kind of weird because he doesn't really play that big of a role in the film in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think without him, it's very just like, oh, this family's fucked.
Yes.
You know, like there's no way they're getting out of this, and there's a lot more stakes created with him being there because, you know, and I was thinking about this too because like, dude, this movie's so good. Every time I watch this, I have a different thought or I find something new, and watching it last
I love
night.
Scatman just a little bit more.
Well, I did. And I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts on just this whole movie is just the Overlook Hotel. Like this whole movie is in there, and then we get out of the Overlook Hotel, and it does kind of feel like a different movie.
Yeah.
What like from Scatman's like journey from Miami, and he's on the phone, and then he's going to pick up the
car,
rental car.
and the snow
from
cab.
Apollo Creed's trainer.
Yeah.
Oh god, that is a Apollo Creed.
Yeah, and you know, doing that, and I'm just like, you know, I had a thought too, like I think it was like last year, like, you know, if there's anything I would cut from here, it would probably be a little bit of like, hey buddy, how you doing? I'm in
Yeah.
Denver.
Yeah.
But the thing is like watching it last night, I was just like, no, this is super needed because like watching this for the first time, I'm thinking, you know, this guy's gonna save them.
Yeah.
Like this is like how this is gonna have the good ending that it's gonna have. And he's walking in and it's very slow and it's just like, damn, how's this guy gonna do it? How's this guy gonna save this family? And then Jack comes out from the last pillar and ends him, and which is shocking within itself because we've just built this up this whole time. Like, oh no, this can
He's the
save
hero.
the family. Yeah, and even so, like how the book is. If you've read the book before you watch the movie, the audience is thinking that this is going to go one way, and then it goes completely different.
Mm.
It's kind of a little psycho, a little bit. You
Yeah.
know? Like halfway through, we're just going to kill the person that we're watching the most. Not that Scatman's like who we're watching the most, but he's like supposed to be our savior here.
Yeah.
Mm.
He's got the Shining. He's communicating with Danny, and then we just end him right there. And the way Jack looks up, just like, cool, you're in his movie now.
Oh yeah.
You're in his hands now, and like you're just fucked. And this is just terrifying. And how is this gonna happen now?
Jack's most sinister look in the movie is
Yeah.
right after he kills him and he stands up and that slow like
Totally
monster
and
look.
that's why I think Scatman's just like so important here,
Mhm.
because we really need that, moments throughout Act 2 of like, cool, somebody's coming to get them, because it's certainly not KDK1.
Yeah, that shit ain't happening. Also
We'll try him in 20 minutes. Why don't you give me a call back? I don't give a shit.
Yeah, fuck those
I'm
people.
literally flying from Miami. You can't just go up the mountain.
Yeah.
No,
He's like,
no,
nah,
no,
that'll
no,
take like an
no.
hour, dude.
No.
Shit.
The worst storm we've ever had, but give me a call back in 20 minutes. I'll check on them, make
We'll be
sure they're
fine.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't picked up, but it's whatever. They're probably
they're probably in a different room or have their radio off.
it's fine.
It's a big hotel.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about that is it's also wild because I think they're shot differently. Because I think Scatman stuff when he's outside and it's not like the Shining thing, it's very traditional like lockdown shot like cinematography. But everything in the Overlook is that steady cam kind of moving and floating around.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost the thing where it's like, oh, Scatman's in like he's in like the real world. He's in
Yeah.
like outside and existing in like normal movie land. And then what's going on in the Overlook is something different.
Yeah.
And then when he goes in, it's like oh, even how it's shot is different. It's like now it's the long floaty takes or whatever, and it's going through, and it's like, oh, now he is now in the movie, and now he is in incredible danger. But yeah, it is a thing because watching it last night as well, I'm like, yeah, this is probably where you can trim a lot of the movie down, but it would be like difficult because it changes a lot of tonal things
Yeah.
about it.
It's needed, man. And like, I don't know, without him, I'm just thinking audiences are gonna be like just waiting for this family to die,
Mm-hmm.
or just waiting for Jack to die or something.
Mhm.
But this is just that extra curiosity factor of just like, if we're adding this to the recipe,
Mhm.
how is this gonna change the meal?
Mm. But yeah, Scatman has been dead man. So now, right after that is we have Wendy running around the hotel seeing ghosts, and we have Danny and Jack in the maze. Jack's chasing Danny in the maze. Danny, which the maze stuff is just cool suspense.
Yeah.
Love the cinematography and everything in there. Really cool. Like it. Danny managed to get away. Super cool. But let's talk about Wendy seeing ghosts and
Oh God,
and
is
the
this it?
yeah, this is it. So the tuxedo bear thing
All right.
or dog thing. So the fuck is that? Was that
I
because it's kind of
I'm
vaguely
still trying to
mentioned
figure
in the
this out.
book?
This is the only thing I haven't really. I mean, not the only thing, but this is just like the main thing I just haven't figured out.
Figured out
because-
everything else in The Shining except this one
yeah,
thing.
Yeah.
Everything else
I know
figured
this.
out.
I know this whole thing. Okay,
Whole
No.
figured out.
I-
It's the moon landing.
It's the whole just like this is probably one of the best movies in the world. You
Mhm.
know, like this is absolutely just has
Goated.
everything in there. Like this is incredible, and then that happens, and it's just like exactly what you said. What the fuck is this? Like this is literally the thing that is taking away from calling this the perfect movie, right?
I mean,
Unless there's something. I mean, I don't know, Dean. Please give me your thoughts on this because I don't know what the fuck is going on here. Talking about cutting,
Okay.
if there's anything we could have cut from this,
Okay, so
help me.
Okay. Now I will admit everything else, the ghost she sees is like, oh, lovely party, and the blood coming out of the elevator in the
Love it.
in the ballroom with all the skeletons and the things where it's like
Mhm.
very spook house old like 50s horror, but it's like so unsettling. All that stuff can get behind, but the tuxedo blowjob, that one, I've heard theories about what that means, and they might equate to it being worth it. So the thing, like the dog or whatever, the guy in the costume. Now, that looks like Danny's toy or teddy bear you see in the beginning of the movie when he's like hurt, like he's holding it when he's like the doctor's there and his pants are off for some reason. Why his pants are off, I don't know.
I
And
thought that was weird too.
and then it's like the tuxedo guy. So I think they're trying to say it's like, oh, this is the undertones of, oh, Danny was abused, and that's what this is.
Or it's a preview to Eyes Wide Shut.
Or a preview to Eyes Wide
Yeah.
Shut. All of that is relevant.
Oh shit! No! Wrong file.
Wrong file.
We're
Wrong
still
file.
shooting that.
Yeah.
We're shooting Eyes Wide Shut in before The Shining. And
Kubrick is like, let me just put this in here, see if it plays.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works.
That tracks.
Yeah. Take 30. It's like Stanley. Like, I'm not actually gonna suck his dick. All right, I don't care how many takes we're gonna do. He's like, we'll do one more.
Dun.
But like, that might be that's the theory I've heard the most. But it also might just be like, that's just a fucked up image.
I mean, because there was abuse in the book, right?
Uh,
Between Danny and Jack.
Not really, no. There was like the abuse, like again in the movie and in the book, the extent of it is like he dislocated his son's shoulder. Like that's the extent of it.
Yeah.
Jack was abused by his dad, but in a more like physical, emotional abuse way because his dad was an alcoholic. That made
Okay.
Jack an alcoholic, and it's like that's kind of the theme of the book of generational trauma is like a
Mhm.
theme in the book. But with the movie, it's like even in the book, it's like the extent of it's not sexual. It's just like, oh no, Jack's like rough with his son. Like, oh, you spilled my papers, and he yanks him up and dislocates his shoulder. Or he's like, oh, you did something bad, so I'm gonna spank you. And now it's like, Jack, you didn't really need to spank him like that hard. It's like that's the extent of it. But with that, I'm like, that might be what Kubrick's is trying to say is like, oh, it's maybe he was abused, or also Kubrick might just be like, at a Hollywood party once, I saw something that really fucked me up, and that's
Yeah,
it right
dude,
there.
I
'Cause
That
it's a-
feels like that would be the.
feel
because
like he's
it's
just
such a
fucking
weird
with us here.
because it's such a weird image that I think is in the book, but I don't think it's like it's something that's actually in it. Like I think in the book there's a thing where it's like, oh, back in the day there was a Halloween party and a guy just showed up dressed as a dog and like jumped around and he disappeared with some of the other hoity-toity guys for a while, and the implication is like they had some weird orgy sex party, but like it's like it's like a one-line thing in the fucking book, and I'm like, Kubrick's like, that's cinema right there. That's going in the movie.
I don't get it.
I don't really get it. I want to get it. I want to come up
And
with an explanation.
I'm trying to be nice to this too. Like even like without the costume on and just the blowjob, cool, fine. I can maybe like be okay with that.
You're like, you
cool.
do you.
Yeah, there's just
You're
like
ghosts.
there's just some weird shit going on
You're like, love is
outside
love.
the party. Yeah, it is what it is. But like you really just had to put this costume on, huh? Because
Now it's into weird sex shit. You're just like, what if it's just normal
I
sex
mean,
shit?
I had questions this whole time, but now I'm just like, well,
Eight
everything that I just questioned, like I don't know,
8-year-old Jack saw that and was like, Mom, I don't think I'm old enough for this movie anymore.
I remember my mom too was even just like, yeah, I don't know about that one either. Like,
You're just like, Mom, what are they doing? And she's like, I can't even hazard a guess, son.
yeah, she like, I think she even said, she's like, your dad and I debated this for years, and we never came to a conclusion. Hopefully, you and I can come to a conclusion, but I don't think we ever will.
So Becky, your thoughts?
No idea.
Yeah.
Strong thoughts.
Since way back when, no idea what it means. It's fucked.
This got it. Okay, everything about The Shining has been debated to death. Like, oh, everything means something. Like everything means something in The Shining. But this has got to be the one where people are like, if I figure out the fucking like teddy bear blowjob thing, then I unlock the movie. That will be the enlightening moment. But I'm like, it could just be Kubrick's like, yeah, that'll be kind of fucked up. I think it'll just unnerve people.
I mean, I do have my own kind of theory of just like, hey, this is gonna be a really good movie. What's gonna make this work is if we just make people question things and we just don't answer them, which is what this whole movie is,
Mhm.
And they're gonna sit at home like Jack Nicholson, just staring off at what does it mean? What does
Yeah.
that costume mean?
And I think like this is just like, what does this mean? What does this mean? Them talking about the Donner Party, them talking about this, like
You saw it on the television.
where the Native American like sauces like in the pantry are placed, and like all of the like this movie did amazing things for the internet.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
Like
Have you seen the documentary Room 237?
I have, and if we have time to talk about it, I'd love to. But I think one of my theories is just like we're gonna make a really cool horror movie, but we're gonna fill this thing with questions,
Mhm.
and we're just gonna fuck with people, and we are not gonna answer their questions.
Mhm.
So, you know, in 50 years, they're still talking about this on podcasts, which, you know, to me, like, overall, like, this is why this is one of the greatest movies of all time, because we watched it last night, we talked about it, and we're, you know, how long into this podcast already?
We're at the 2-hour mark currently.
Yeah, shit, sorry.
Don't worry.
No, you're good.
We're good.
And
We
are
talked about Pulp Fiction for a while.
dude, like, we're 2 hours in. We're still talking about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still can't figure this out. That's a success. That's the thing. Like, if you make a film and people are talking about it and still talking about it after they go see it, like, you succeeded, you know?
Mhm.
But if you made this thing in 1980 and they're showing it in a fucking cemetery in 2024 and it is selling out,
Oh, yeah.
this is a classic. I don't want to hear movies are dead. I don't
Mhm.
want to hear that. You know?
You're like, The Shining is real fucking good, guys.
It is, but I just can't figure out this blowjob scene.
I can't wait for, okay. The blowjob thing is the thing where I'm like, I want to know why. But I think you're right. I think there is a thing where Kubrick's like, what's the most terrifying thing? It's the fear of the unknown, right? So if I fill this movie with a bunch of things that are just unknowable,
Mhm.
things that you can't really explain or figure out, or like, that like the scene where it's like, there's a chair behind Jack Nicholson when he's talking to Wendy. It cuts to Wendy, cuts back, the chair's gone, and it cuts back to Wendy, cuts back, and the chair's back there. And he's like, I'm just gonna put these weird, all the continuity errors, all the weird things that are going on in the movie. It's just like
Blood in the elevator.
blood in the elevator. It's just like, what's all this mean? And it's just like, I don't know. And it's like, no, that it has to mean something.
Yep.
Because if it doesn't mean anything, then the universe is chaos, and they can't do that. But I think that's Kubrick's playing on, is like this unknowable tension and fear about, like, in The Shining, and I think that's what he's driving on. And I think it's really capped off at the end, right? Because Danny and Wendy manage to escape in the snowcap because Scatman is right up with Jesus, and Jack freezes, right? Jack is frozen. Not you, Jack, the other Jack, the movie Jack. He's frozen and he's dead.
That's how I looked every single day in Massachusetts.
Oh,
That's why I
okay.
moved to California, because I just looked frozen every day.
Just like
Yeah.
with the dead-eyed stare.
Yeah.
But we get the final last image, that big push in that dissolves in to the 4th of July ball in 1921, and it's Jack Nicholson in the photo of the 4th of July ball.
The most debated photo in movie history.
What
Yes.
does it mean? Was Jack a reincarnated member that brought people in? Was he, now that he's dead, he's now trapped at the Overlook? Is Jack a time traveler? Is he the Doctor? What does the photo mean? What do the
See-
numbers mean, Mason?
See, Dean, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Just to fuck with you.
Just
to
to
put these things in there, and just so people will talk about this for years and years and years and years and years forever. And Stanley's just like, yeah, I don't even know what this shit means, but I'm just gonna put it in there and just fuck with people and just have them question themselves and think about what this means. That's really what I think this is. And if it's not, then it's got to be reincarnation, right?
Well, there's even layers to it, right? Because like have you ever looked at the pose that Jack's making, where he has like one hand up and one hand's kind of like down, right?
Mhm.
That's the same pose you see in every depiction of
Of
Bahamut, the
Yeah.
pagan Satan or whatever. That's that's that exact pose, and it's the exact pose he's making in there. And I'm like, okay, either that was like Stanley Kubrick's like, you are gonna be like the true embodiment of Satan. Now that you have been, did this, your soul has been damned, and you are now trapped in the Overlook, which is hell, and you're going to be the image of Bahamut. Or he's like, I think that looks kind of like good in the picture. Yeah, you put your hand up. Yeah, no, that blocks the light there, Jack. You're going to look great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's go in.
That, or it's another element of just fucking with
you
us.
with us.
Like, yeah, maybe people will pick up on this, but it actually doesn't mean anything.
I want to know though. Okay, Becky.
Yes.
The end of the movie.
Yes.
What does the picture mean? I want a real answer. All right. I don't know. You can make something up, but I want an answer.
No, I just feel like this is like a reoccurring thing where, Jack originally was there in the 20s. He did something, died, and then his soul is kind of like damned to be brought back to the Overlook. I don't know.
Okay. Reincarnation. We'll take
Yeah.
those.
Similar, that's a theory for sure, but they all kind of just rotate
Mhm.
and play different roles, as explained a little bit in Doctor Sleep. I don't know if you guys ever saw Doctor Sleep.
I have not seen Doctor
I've
Sleep.
seen a little bit of it.
Yeah, check it out. It's good.
Mm.
It's not The Shining.
That's
obviously.
everybody's big argument. It's
Yeah.
like it's
That's why
it's
I
not The
stopped it. I
Shining.
was like, it's not the Shining.
Yeah, I mean, Doctor Sleep, like it kind of it it very much focuses on Ewan McGregor's character, Danny,
Mhm.
but it goes into a world of kind of like a criminal underground of this cult with The Shining and how they use The Shining to, you know, go about their duties. And I really like that. You know, that was the movie that I wanted to watch, and I just found myself caring less about everything that was involved in the original Shining, like the Torrance family.
Mhm.
Like, it was cool. I thought Ewan McGregor was a good cast for it, but there was just this side story that I was just way more interested in.
The A plot was like, okay, it's a movie. The B plot, you're
Yeah.
like, that should be the A plot of this film.
There's a lot that happens in Act 3 that's good surprises that you guys should check out that we'll talk about at another time. But
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. It just I have that theory because of Doctor Sleep.
I see. I like the reincarnation theory. I think I'm in the mindset that the Overlook is kind of this prison for the spirits, I guess. And I have the idea that what that image means is that, you know, people come to the Overlook and the Overlook is hungry and the Overlook wants to keep people, and however they keep people is however they keep people. You know, some people get like trapped there working there, like Ullman or
Lloyd.
Halloran or Lloyd. They're like, we work here and now we're never gonna leave because this is our lives, right? You know, and maybe, you know, Lloyd dies and he's, you know, is trapped there. But it's like, I think when they see Danny there and Jack there and Wendy there and they're alone and they're like, we want them, we want more because we're hungry, we're the Overlook,
Mhm.
we need more and more people, right? Because it's like, you know, the Overlook gets praised. It's almost like Overlook is like Christine, where it's like Ullman's like,
Mhm.
we were the greatest hotel, presidents were here, and the, you know, the hotel's like, we want a full guest list, right? And it's pushing Jack to fill its guest book.
Mhm.
And when he dies, that image to me is like, well, he didn't get Danny and Wendy, but they got Jack, and Jack is now going to be here forever. You know, he will always be at the Overlook's peak moment, that 4th of July ball, the elegance, the glamour, whatever. And the Overlook's like, we have another guest for the party trapped there. You know, lovely party, isn't it? Like the Overlook's trapped in the 1921 ball. And I think it's just trying to fill out the guest list, I guess. More spirits, more people, make it bigger, make it grander, make it whatever. I wouldn't personally invite Jack to that. He's a pretty bad writer and, you know, mean drunk, but, you know.
Can't
it's
even
okay.
kill his own family.
Can't even kill his own family. Fucking pussy.
Failure.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's my idea of it, where he's like trapped there now. But you actually saw the sequel, so you know the real answer is Mr. Man over there.
Well, I mean, the sequel's tough because it's based on the book,
Mm-hmm.
but also treated as a sequel to the book, but also treated as a sequel to the movie, which, you know, they both, the book and the movie, they end very differently.
Yeah.
So you gotta have to kind of just take that with a grain of salt when watching it. But, you know, that's a really tall task
Mhm.
to make a Shining sequel that complements both the book and the original film. And the way they do it is nice. That being said, I watched it once when it first came out, and I
Mhm.
was like, this is cool. I don't see a reason to revisit this.
Yeah.
But, you know, for the sake of Shining conversation, for Shining lovers, totally recommend. It's not something that's going to, like, truly piss you off.
Okay, that's the thing I wanted to know, if it was going to be shitty.
They do make some choices in there that, like, you know, I don't know if I agree with it, but cool. Good job. Good swing. You know, that's it. I appreciate it. It was a big swing. You didn't really piss me off while doing it, so cool.
Okay.
That's my Dr. Sleep thoughts. there.
That's your Doctor Sleep
Like,
review?
it's fine, you know.
Well, that was The Shining. It was okay, fine. 7 out of 10. Would watch again.
Did we fake the moon landing?
I think I don't.
Room 237? 237,000 whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
God.
Come on,
I
Danny
hate-
raising up with the Apollo.
With the Apollo thing.
With the Apollo.
Okay, the Room 237 is the most insane conspiracy theory documentary I've ever seen, but it's also, I understand that movie. It's like, this movie is about how deep you can read into film if you really tried.
Is it? Or is it about just like
The
hey,
moon landing and Native American
No,
genocide.
honestly, like I
and-
watched Room 237 and I fucking hated it when I first saw it
Mhm.
because I was just like
it's a bunch of crazy people going on rants.
yeah, like, and this is one of my favorite movies ever. So like, you're insulting me when
Yeah.
you say things like, "Oh, look at Stanley's beard in the clouds in the first shot." Of the
I
movie. I'm like,
love that.
yeah,
where the
like-
guy even admits he's like, I kind of have to Photoshop it to make you see it, but it's
Photoshop
there.
this 1980, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
This fucking guy.
Yeah, I don't know. But then, like, the more I watched, I was just like, oh no, this the point of this documentary is just like what this did to the culture, what this did to the internet, these conversations that we're having right now,
Mhm.
and like the insane wild theories and the appreciation of like, is there another movie out there that just can just fuck with these people this much?
Oh God.
And just fill it with theories and things that people will just talk about for years and years and years after this.
Yeah, it's this in 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
Yeah. But fucking yeah, the impact of this movie cannot be understated by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, what is it? They did a whole like IMDb film tournament, and this was voted the #1 greatest horror movie of all time, beat out like 400 other films.
Yeah, of course.
But the other thing is like this is one of the well, I think all of Kubrick's movies made money, but this is the one of 2 or 3 that were real, honest to God, like box office hits. Because it cost like $19 million, it made like $50 million at the
Mhm.
box office, which probably would have made more. But
Great marketing.
well,
The blood out of the elevator. People were like, what the fuck is this?
some other films that year had better marketing, and I'm gonna tell you. What other movie came out the same week as The Shining in 1980?
Ooh.
Just off the top of your head. Just Becky,
I can't.
I told you last night
told
because
me
it was
last night,
insane.
yeah.
All right,
Jack, off the top of your head, 1980. What's another movie?
I'm gonna say something crazy here. Empire Strikes Back.
Yes.
Really?
Empire Strikes Back released a week before this.
No way.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm good.
You know what released the same day?
What?
Friday the 13th, the first Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah, I knew that.
The most
Okay.
profitable one of the most
Yeah.
profitable horror movies of all time. And The Shining's like, yeah, we could get together a sweet 50 million following Empire and then
What
opening against Friday.
What a time to be alive.
That's why Dean was in line with me to take the picture last night, and he's like, "Can you imagine $20 in your pocket,
Yo.
and you could go see Empire, The Shining, and Friday the 13th?"
And you had just seen Alien the year before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
What is life?
Dude, like that's the thing. Like people are like, oh, like we had it better back in the day, man. I'm like, okay, for movies, we
Yeah.
fucking kind of did. Could you?
Yeah.
When you're like, if you're like 14, and you're like, I got some money, I'm gonna go down to the movie theater. It's like because fucking tickets were like what $1,
Yeah.
$2 or something. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, you can spend so much time in a 1980s movie theater. Like my word, because those movies played. Alien was probably still in the fucking theater because they played for like a year.
What time of year did this release?
This I think was May. This was like it was released in May, which weird. I would think you released this in like October,
Yeah.
fall. But this was like
Or
a
even
May
winter.
This was like a May release, like a Labor Day weekend or not late Memorial Day weekend
Yeah.
or something like that, which is like, dude, at the start of spring,
Yeah.
Aliens released like just a
Yeah,
couple
the
months
flowers
ago.
are blooming.
Flowers are blooming. I'm gonna go inside and just feel uncomfortable. Oh,
the UK did it right. They released it in October,
okay.
but we were May 23rd.
Damn, I'm fucking good.
Yeah.
But yeah, the release of this movie makes a bunch of money, which surprising, releasing next to Empire. But
So you said Empire came out before?
a week before, 1 week before.
So everybody's just still
In
just
the-
getting over Harrison Ford being frozen and now
Carbonite. They're like, we
and
need
just-
something.
Yeah, we have to wait 3 years to figure out what happened.
are we seriously doing this, guys?
happened to Han Solo. All right, I guess we'll go see The Shining to kill our time.
They froze Jack Nicholson too.
Oh.
What are they doing with the 80s?
Yeah.
Oh God! But that's the thing. Reception to this movie is ridiculous to me because people are like showing up, money, whatever. But also, like the critical response to this, mixed to say the least. People fucking hated this movie on release.
They didn't get it.
They didn't get it. You
We
know.
still don't get it.
We're still figuring
Yeah,
it out.
but giving Shelley Duvall a Razzie is ridiculous. Or nominating
Oh,
her for a
no,
Razzie
no.
is ridiculous to me. I
That
don't
actually happened.
Yeah, she was nominated. Okay. Shelley Duvall was nominated for Worst Actress at the Razzies
Oh.
and Stanley Kubrick Worst Director at the Razzies.
Guys, imagine going through the abuse and the months and making this movie and then getting nominated for a Razzie.
Mm-mm.
The best part,
Time to break out the
Stanley
bat.
Kubrick was
Yeah.
nominated Worst Director.
You had your
for-
whole fucking life to prepare for this role.
Stanley Kubrick nominated Worst Director at the Razzies, also nominated Best
Stop.
Director at the Saturn Awards. This was not nominated for any Oscars. It was only the Razzies and the Saturn Awards, and that's it. Which, by the way, I think this might be the only Kubrick movie since Doctor Strangelove that didn't get nominated for a single Oscar. This
Do
might be
we-
the only one.
And here comes Stanley with
Yeah.
the bat too. He's like, you know what?
Yeah. Do we know what was nominated?
In
that year?
1980, oh god, I
What
didn't.
won?
I didn't check off the top of my head. Oh, Becky's good at this. She's pulling it up.
That's
But-
what you guys talk.
Yeah.
Just because, like, you know, what in the world? Like, and whatever won that year, or whatever's nominated that year, can we go over 2 hours and 15 minutes? to
Yeah,
talk
we're
about
fine.
it?
We're fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
because like what I'm trying to think what other movie is going to beat out. I guess be the 81 Oscars, right? Because
Yeah.
released in 1980, so we're looking at 81.
Well, if it released in May, would it?
no,
Yeah, okay, 81
it would have to be
January,
81.
right,
Yeah,
yeah.
Well, the winning picture in '81 was Chariots of Fire,
Oh fuck me, that movie's ass.
and the director that won was Warren Beatty for Reds.
Okay.
not the fucking Shining.
Yeah.
It's not The Shining,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I mean, you know, the Oscars.
The Oscars,
They
my guy.
messed up more than once, you know.
Oh yeah.
Oh God. But yeah. Is there anything else we want to talk about The Shining
Dude,
while we're here?
this is a classic. Love this film dearly. It has a special place in my heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've seen this. First time I saw it on screen was for one of the anniversaries. Saw it at Regal Cinemas in Swansea, Massachusetts, and it was wild. And
That's
then when
a
I-
name drop right there.
Yep,
Humble
and then when I
brag.
moved here in 2019, my buddy Vinny and I saw it at the Chinese theater in 70 millimeter.
Ooh.
Oh, that must be nice.
And I think that was the best time seeing it,
Mhm.
just because there was things in the corner of the frame that I just like didn't see before. Nothing that like would make it give me answers to what this
Mhm.
movie means or the ending, but I'm just like, oh shit, like
It's a new experience.
yeah, like the props, like because I'm looking at shit now, I'm just
Mhm.
like the props are placed like very very strategically.
Mhm.
And then the third like time seeing it in a group setting was last night at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. So shout out to this movie, man. It keeps like just selling out wherever it is.
It's a movie that keeps on giving.
It does. I find something new in this every time I watch it, which is such a nerd thing to say, but it
I-
is. And I owe a lot to this film because I don't know if I'd be who I am today if I didn't, you know, pick this out of my dad's VHS collection. And shout out to The Simpsons too, who did a
Yeah.
great parody episode, Treehouse of Fire episode on this. And shout out to the Neville family for being okay to showing little Jack The Shining.
I mean, the bear blowjob scene they might regret a little bit, but
Totally,
whatever.
totally. My mom definitely didn't remember that one. And I'll just never forget. Like I looked up at her, and she was just like, "Yeah, I don't know." Like I just, you know, we've been debating that for a long time. I don't think we'll ever figure it. You know, such is life. You know, I don't think we'll ever figure it out. But
Oh, it is what it is.
yeah, but this is a great time, guys. Thank you so much for letting me ramble on about The Shining.
Oh yeah. We had a great time. But Becky, do you have anything else you want to say about The Shining?
I mean, I love this movie, and I try not to watch it that often because I like to savor it, and I like to come back to it and feel like it's a
Mhm.
brand new movie.
Once a year.
Mhm.
Once a year, every
Yeah.
few years, you know, come back to it. But definitely the coolest experience recording for the podcast.
Oh,
Aw.
Because, I mean, you know, we've seen things and we've recorded like the next day, but I mean, this was truly a cool experience.
oh, well, we'll have to do it again.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I would love that, especially if we get to see, you know, The Shining again, because again, this movie makes me feel profoundly uncomfortable from minute one to the end of it. This
That's
movie
it.
is just
And that's what it was meant
it's
to do.
spooky.
You know,
Yeah.
all it set out to, you know, do something, and it achieved that. To make you feel the certain way and to get us talking about it forever. I don't think they judged how much success it would have, but this is a special one.
oh yeah, this is again, if not like the greatest horror movie of all time, it's easily in the top 5 without any argument,
Yeah.
right? But that brings us to the end of The Shining. You're welcome, Stephen King. We didn't trash on you that hard, but what are we gonna do next week? I think we name dropped it a few times.
We did, and next week ends Stanley Kubrick month. We've finally gotten to the end, and Dean's going to make sure he tortures me with a brand new movie to me. Eyes Wide Shut.
You guys are so cool.
Yes, we're going to Eyes Wide Shut. It's Kubrick's last film. He died, I think, like a week or like
A month?
No,
Oh,
I think it was
no.
like the day he sent his final cut to the studio. He died. Like it was like that day.
Yeah.
Literally dead.
Which
Yeah,
Again,
you know.
more questions. Right?
More questions.
Yeah. I expect to hear that 30-minute talk in next week's
Oh,
podcast.
no.
Yes, but we get Eyes Wide Shut next week. Which, by the way, Stanley Kubrick releases The Shining in 1980, and then
Yeah.
he releases his next film, Full Metal Jacket,
87,
89.
89.
Yeah, it's like a 9-year gap. So it's like, oh, he released 2 movies in the 80s, but they're at 2 opposite ends of the 80s.
Yeah.
And then he releases Eyes Wide Shut in like 1999.
Yeah.
That man just was like, I don't need that many more movies left. I'm cool. I'm going to take my time. But yeah, Eyes Wide Shut. I've seen this movie twice before.
Mhm.
It's a movie that it's hard to figure out what's it is about, but I do think it is one of the better Kubrick films. I like it more than like Lolita and
Oh, yeah.
stuff like that. Like I think it's a good movie, and I think it's gonna have a lot of food for thought.
You guys are gonna have fun with that one.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot to talk about. I mean, it's funny in a lot of ways. But you can go so far with that Tom Cruise character.
There's also the thing where it has the greatest final line in cinema, which
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil for you, Becky.
No, not yet.
You're gonna love it.
Which ones have you guys done for Kubrick films?
So far, well, we did The Killing, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
We have done.
I saw that at the New Bev.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Killing was great.
That is such a good movie.
It was
We
a
really
good
like
movie.
that one.
Mhm.
But yeah, so far we've also done Paths of Glory, 2001, The Shining now,
Mhm.
and then we're finishing off with Eyes Wide Shut.
You guys are cool, man.
We're trying.
Some
yeah.
podcasts shine and some don't.
Some
this
do
one
not.
does.
I can't wait when we do Kubrick Month Season 2, and we'll do like Doctor Strangelove, Clockwork Orange, Linden, Full Metal Jacket. We'll do the rest of the filmography, and
We
then
have
we'll do
to.
and then we'll do Season 3 where we do all the other ones no one wants to talk about, like Lolita. But yeah,
You guys gonna talk about the moon landing too? That footage?
we just
We might
watched.
have to.
All right. So,
Much love, guys.
But I guess the final sign off. So, but where can they go to see the next episode?
Well, before I plug that, Jack, do you want to plug, any socials, if people want to follow you?
Yeah, I'm at Jack Nev on Instagram. You see a lot of my life there, a lot of my travels, a lot of projects that I'm working on. Excited to talk about a new project that the three of us worked on soon.
It's coming out. Don't worry. I'll send
I
you the
can't
link.
wait.
Hell yeah, yeah. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the podcast, so thank you guys so much for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Oh, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
We can't wait to have you back for future episodes.
Yeah, please hit me up anytime. Frailty.
Oh,
I
well,
know.
that'll be for McConaughey month.
Yeah, or Paxton month.
Paxton
Paxton month.
Huh.
But if you want to listen to us on a different platform than you currently are, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and YouTube.
You can go to our YouTube channel, The Film Vault. That is The Film Vault on YouTube because the Film Club was taken. And you can go find our giant back catalog of episodes here. It's over 200 there. Also, the video podcast we're doing at the end of each month for the last movie. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe there. We're finally synced up, so they're releasing basically the same time now.
It's happening.
It's finally happening. But if you want to find out what we're releasing, what the next theme month is, or other things that I forget about, you can go to our socials at
the Film Club Podcast on Instagram, where we post daily stories, upcoming episodes, adventures like going to Hollywood Forever Cemetery. You'll see stories like that.
Who runs that Instagram page?
Me.
Okay, cool. Because sometimes I message you guys on there and like stuff, and I'm just like, I have no idea if I'm talking to Dean or Becky, but
You're talking to me.
You're talking to her.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm not allowed to run the Instagram.
All
If
right,
I
cool,
ran it,
cool.
there'd be tumbleweeds rolling through.
Yeah.
That's how I know. Every time I send a message, I'm like, I have no idea if this is getting to Dean or Becky, but it's okay because I know it's eventually going to get to both of them.
Yeah, it comes to me, and then I tell Dean, I'm like, oh, hey, Jack said this. And he's like,
Yeah.
oh, cool, tell him I said that.
Yeah,
So.
Jack really likes our Frankenstein post.
Yeah.
But with that,
Here's Johnny.
all right. There we go. Have a good week, everybody.
Peace out, guys.
Bye.